Is on.
We're going to start the program this evening. This is the Stunt Hangar video chat where we talk about aeromodeling, talk about flying, building, competing, uh, crashing, repairing, all aspects of model aviation. And hang on just one second. Let me get this here. Um, Even planes and trains and automobiles, whatever you'd like to do in your workshop, we want to keep this family room friendly. And Sparky has a membership, is like 2 or 3 tiers, and that'd be a great way to help support the programming. And there's also a super chat if you want to just make a donation. Um, we appreciate anything you feel um, obligated to do to help keep this hobby and sport alive. Anyways, I'm going to be inviting my other friends and guests in. Oh, by the way, if you want to join us, uh, you have to be a member of Stunt Hangar. And if you want to join or become a member, you need to register with your real first and last name and a space between those first and last name. And it might take a little while because Sparky actually is the one who approves everyone individually. So uh, without further ado, let me set up the invitation so I can let people know where the link is and where I'm at. Just bear with me just a second. Alrighty. So let's see here. Sorry, they've changed the way YouTube works, so I've done it this way so I can at least have a little bit of control. So just give me a minute to invite some other people here. Um, and there we go. All right, so I posted the link, and let me pop out the video chat. My back, I see there's some people there already. Jack Snabley says, hello, Charles, and all else in the hangar or shop and all around the world. Well, thank you, Jack, for coming in. Let me pop out the live chat so I can keep an idea. And so, by the way, I do try my best um, to include those that are on YouTube so that they are actually part of the conversation. So I do my best to do that. But sometimes I do get enthralled and involved in the conversation, and I don't see what's going on. So if you have a question and it's like it's taking me a while to get to it, um, I will look up. I have my the chat box up there, so I can keep an eye. And so we'll see what's going on. Anyways, bear with me here. I'm multitasking. Let's see here. It did get posted. Okay, so pretty sure I did that right. Well, let me know if there's a problem with the post that I put on Stunt Hangar. Um, because normally people are waiting at the bit to get in. So let's see here. I'm going to check and see if it's there. Yeah, it's there. Alrighty. So, anyways, maybe I just have some time to myself. Anyways, I've been working on. Here's somebody coming in. Hey, John.
Hi, Charles. How you doing?
Doing well. And Gary, how you guys doing?
Good.
You running a little late tonight, bud?
Yeah, I couldn't get my couldn't connect. I was having a problem with my internet. So, hey, what's up, Tom?
Hi, Charles.
So, how you guys doing? What you guys been up to?
Not much. I was about to give you a call, though.
Yeah, I kept watching, refreshing.
Yeah,
I'm
me
sorry,
too.
you guys waiting. You know, I have 3 teenagers here, and so I
Uh,
have to sometimes have to. So I'm sorry, you can't all be on the internet at the same time, you know, and so that might happen from time to time.
I understand. What you do is you tell them get a job and get their own darn internet.
Yeah, it's funny. Oh, yeah, there'd be plenty of time for that. But I'm not really anxious for them to work. I really want them to focus on school.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
anyways,
did some flying tonight.
oh, fantastic! Tell me all about it. Hey, Peter.
I have
Yep.
two of my grandsons here for a week, and so we went out and flew the Gentle Lady on floats tonight.
Oh, nice. Now, do you have a buddy box so they can actually fly it, or do you just?
I do have a buddy box. I don't have it. I didn't hook it up tonight. Um, I've got another plane that I don't really care about as much. I'd use that for the buddy box training. And it works better for the older grandkids. 5 years old is maybe a little young yet.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking. I didn't even ask how old these grandkids are, but you are a young grandpa. So, hey, Ed.
Hey, man.
Hey,
Hey,
Tryon.
how you doing?
I'm trying.
Hey guys.
Doing well. And Bill.
Hi.
Bill and I have had a little dialogue. I actually went on your channel, as you noticed, and saw
Yeah.
you flying the stuntman. And I understand your comment. I mean, if you're happy with the way it flies, it was just maybe a perception that I had that might be incorrect.
Well, it does take a lot of down to keep it flying inverted. So I was trying it again this morning, and I thought, well, I'm going around good. I'll keep doing this as I kept getting a little bit smoother. But I made a few laps, and then it was like I was getting dizzy. I don't get dizzy going the normal direction, but and then I hit the ground, and it was like, God, I was just about staggering. I was so dizzy.
Yeah, that's why you have to stop and just do some outside loops to kind of clear your head and then continue on.
Yeah, you get used to traveling counterclockwise in normal flight, and it's like you're starting all over when you go to inverted flight and have to do more. I get more than 6 laps. I know I've got 6 laps because I start getting dizzy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. It's only 6 laps when you practice the pattern, so it's not that bad. But yeah, you have to get used to it, no doubt about it. I tend to have to get used to it, especially getting down to 4 feet flying inverted. It's a little bit more exciting, I should say.
Hey Ed, thanks for the thing. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hope it was satisfactory.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
I
I
got
was just watching part of Tom's video from the float fly, and then I'll watch the rest later. I just want to come in to hear.
Yeah, I've been posting several videos over the weekend on my YouTube channel.
I noticed that.
That was,
Go ahead, yeah.
see what I got in the mail today?
Oh, nice. Nice. Was that 45? 46, or 25?
Yeah, 46, but I mean it's got the back plate on it.
Oh, wow.
Nice Venturi all set up for stunt, and it doesn't look like it's been run.
It doesn't look like it's been run from here either.
Yeah.
Wow. So is that an early Christmas gift from Ed or what?
Well,
No.
kind of brought it to me.
No.
Nice.
Yeah, I was tickled that to get it. I didn't expect it to be, though he did say it was like new. I didn't expect it to be that new. So he said,
You still got to break that one in.
yeah, that I'm good at that though. I either break them in or break them, one of the two.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Well, I'm going electric, but the thing is, I want to stay with IC for classic,
Right.
And I had a nice blue 46 sometime in the past. It was mounted on a Cardinal, and had a fellow that wanted to buy the Cardinal, so he bought the Cardinal with the engine on it. And so I haven't had had a real good engine. I got one. You know, I didn't want to get. Let me back up a minute. Since they quit making them, I wanted to get at least one more, or one in my stable, because I knew I'd build a plane for it. So I got a hold of a used silver one from a fellow in Louisiana, and it looks good. But when I saw this blue one pop up and he said it was new, I couldn't pass on it.
Is there any difference between the silver and the blue? Or color?
Just the color.
Just the color.
Yeah, I got a blue one on my Tudor too. That's the only one I'd like to pick up a couple more if I could, but they're kind of pricey for me.
Well, they're good. They're good engine.
What's
And
that?
they have a great reputation, and quite frankly, they're going to get harder to get now that they no longer make them.
Oh, I know.
So have you flown your Tudor too, Ed?
Yeah, I've flown the hell out of that thing. That thing flies great.
Yeah, I have one right behind me. This is a Tudor 2. Probably if you see the stab right behind me, and this is this is actually a Tudor 2 right here. You see the elevator?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I picked that plane up for $50. Probably, I don't know. I started flying with Mike and them in 2009, and probably 2010. I saw it advertised in the local paper, so I went and picked it up, and it was one that the guys that I fly with had given away for a raffle. And
Wow.
the lady had never put it together and didn't want it no more.
Oh, great!
But I picked the motor up at a hobby shop here in Nashville. Mike's on, so he probably know. Danielle's. It's no longer selling airplane stuff. They've gone to drones, but they had the engine brand new for $89, and I got it then. But yeah, I love it, man. That thing flies great. I mean,
I've competed with mine. I've done pretty well with it. I did. I got second place in intermediate with that plane. Yeah, did really well. I mean, for an ARP, it's a really good flying plane. I don't know how it stacks up between that and the Brodak P40. So I like both of those.
I want to get one of those too.
Yeah, I really like the Brodak P40, but I'm probably gonna fly this plane soon, just to see what it's like. I brought it out to show a friend of mine. Hey, we have a new guest. Looks like. Hello.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I thought you meant me.
Mike, you're not new. You're like the rest of us, man. We're a bunch of old farts here.
Yeah, I'm over here taping boxes and sorting my hardwoods, my bash, my ply, and balsa. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic so I'm not irritating you, but I'll be listening.
All righty.
All right.
This the box that the SV11 came in.
Yeah.
That is a good sturdy box, man. So
wow,
it's time to junk all the other kit boxes and.
Guys.
Yeah, Mike's talking, baby.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. I need to talk to my husband early, but he wouldn't let me. So
I was busy trying to get on the show.
yeah.
Better get in there and figure out what she wants, Charles.
Yeah. No, that's okay. I can just make the internet blow up and use every electronic in the house.
You sound like my wife.
Funny, that's funny. So yes, I was trying to
What
find
were
out.
you saying?
I can get my wife out here too, and you guys can you can wear me and Charles down if you want.
I can do this all day long.
Yeah, actually, it's my wife's birthday. She might enjoy ganging up on me with another lady
Mine was
tonight.
yesterday.
Yeah, hers was yesterday, yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you guys go open your own Zoom meeting and have a little gripe fest about your husbands and their toy airplanes.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Ooh, look at that. Brand new combat elevator. No dings or nothing. Tells you how long I've been since I've been in that box.
So who's our new guy? I don't know his name.
That's Jim Smith, man.
He hasn't been on since I've been on, so I don't know him.
He was the one talking to us last week with no camera.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay. Hi, Jim.
Smith Brothers Stunt. That's old Jim.
Good to see you and not just have to listen to you, you know?
Yeah, I'm just trying it out the first time here.
He's the space pirate, man. That's space pirate. Yep.
Looking good.
Picture looks good. Sound looks good.
What's that?
I say it looks like the picture looks good and the sound looks good.
Yeah, the face in it doesn't look very good, but everything else is coming through real clear.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to mute my mic because I'm going to be noisy, but I'll be listening.
Hey, Train, did you get that handle yet?
Did who get the handle?
Train.
Oh, yeah, I did.
All right.
I already flew it.
Did you get one with the grips on it or just a plain one you put your own grips?
That was just a plain one. Yep. I flew with a handle similar to that at the Nationals. And Matt Colton had one of those. So after I flew it, and I said, hey, man, I kind of like this, you know. So it just had more line spacing.
Yeah,
So-
we're going to make another one that has a little more line spacing.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Our next batch, but we still got a few to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I really like the way it, for me, I think it's just about right now. I don't think I need more. But it really made it a little bit easier to, I mean, I don't have to crank it so hard, you know.
Yeah, I like the wide spacing myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really nice. Thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Oh, I had a bunch of those clips, by the way.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I had a lot of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, are you coming to Georgia?
Yes, we are. We're going to be some brave souls.
All right.
And take our chances. Well, I think we'll be doing a lot of judging. I think I'll fly expert, and Wayne will probably fly an old time.
Mm-hmm.
But just depends how it goes.
Mm-hmm. I fly beginners.
Beginner, right?
Beginner expert, you mean?
Yeah. Bottom feeding pond scour.
You got to swim with the sharks now, baby.
Like I said, the big bag, the angry ones and hungry ones.
Really?
You won't be with the big bad angry ones for a while yet. You'll be down there with the pond scummers.
You know, I don't know.
Me?
He might really show up and show out. You never know. He might do really well.
Well, it'll take him a couple of flights, a couple of contests to move his way up through the ranks. They won't believe it right at first, so you know. But he will actually probably pick up 30 points in his pattern immediately. But that'll still be 40 points below the top guys.
Yeah. Remember trying cheating. He has a plane that's way beyond anything that's out there as far as technology.
Yeah.
It's a nice plane.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah,
appreciate
That's
it.
for sure.
It's ahead of everybody else's plane in technology. Unbelievable.
So I got to ask, now if there's more people on here, how many people, I know Mike does, but how many others mix their own glow fuel?
I do.
I don't know how.
I was making some comment about, you know, with this 35 now, I'm going through those little quart things pretty fast. Yeah. And it came out that a whole lot of people, it seems like, mix their own.
Yeah, I only mix the own for my Stalkers and my K-77 because I really can't find FIA fuel that's all synthetic. I can find FIA fuel which is half synthetic, but those engines require all synthetic, so I have to make my own fuel.
Yeah, the synthetic engines or the Stalkers. It's easy to make fuel for them though. Just all you got to have is you buy 5 gallons of alcohol and buy some synthetic oil and mix it.
Right.
It's pretty simple, but you go mixing the other stuff. And, man, getting good caster these days is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's almost as bad buying a good caster as it is buying good nitro. And you know that's the reason dragsters went to 1,000 feet, because of crap nitro we're getting nowadays with blowing up too many parts. It's a bad deal.
I didn't know. I didn't know what the reason why they went to a.
That's it. That's it.
I thought it's because they was doing 900 miles an hour in a quarter mile, so they wanted to slow them down.
That was they were trying to come up with some way to slow them down, but they were having too many. Look back on the year before, the last year that look on YouTube and look at, I think it's called the year before the 1,000 feet or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but just every other run, somebody was blowing up and having a big fireball, and they attributed it to just lousy nitro. It's got too much moisture in it. Water.
Did that factory ever get rebuilt but burned down, or are they still getting nitro from China?
Still get, as far as I know, they're still getting nitro from China. But you know, the company that bought the good reactor from Texas will not sell it to hobby or nitro guys. They said that was over, and so they started buying this stuff from Japan, not Japan, China, and it's just not near the quality of the other stuff.
Is that Torco brand, Phil?
I don't remember. I think that's right, but I can't swear to it.
Does Torco?
My memory is. I mean, I'm telling you.
Okay, I remember the Chinese factory blowing up and nitro price spiked and all that. But
wow,
I've been making my own for about 6 years now with Torco.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I buy it from Torco. It was $49 a gallon, and then it went up to about $68, $69 a gallon after the spike, after the explosion. But I use Torco nitromethane for my jet. I run it in my PA. I run it in all our LAs. I make my half-A fuel Russian engine with it, and I make all my combat motors. And then I just use different blends of oil. You know, I use Super Technoplate Original, which is all synth, and then I use Super Technoplate with Benol, which is 80-20 caster. And then I have caster from Bulk Apothecary as well. I buy it from them, straight caster. And then
you're too much of a chemist for me.
Well, I got a speed shop 20 minutes from the house, and I buy my methanol for about $4 a gallon. I just take a bunch of empty jugs in there, and I get 4 gallons, and that usually, you know, gets me through part of this. I just made up 2 gallons today after I saw Bill's post. I was like, oh, I better go check. And because I need some for tomorrow, and we need some for Canton this weekend. So I made PA fuel and LA 46 fuel today. It's super easy to do. And you do it in milliliters. You get yourself a big 1,000 milliliter Pyrex cup, a 4-cup Pyrex cup. And you can measure. And then if you do 3 liters at a time, it will not overfill a gallon. So my formula is to make 3,000 liters, which is just about a little over 3/4 of a gallon. But, you know, if you want 20% oil, you use 600 milliliters of oil. 20% or 10% nitro would be 300 milliliters of nitro. So that's 900, and then 2,100 of methanol. And you got your 10% nitro with your 20% oil. And then your oil, you can either go all castor or split it 50-50 or whatever, 75, 25. It's really easy to do, Bill, if you can get the ingredients. I mean, and it's.
I'm sure I can get the ingredients. We got. You talk about race car heaven. I mean, I've got NASCAR all around me. I've got pro stocks.
I said Bill because Bill, and he doesn't think he's got a speed shop runner, but a motorcycle shop might sell it if you got guys like drag racing motorcycles.
Top Fuel Harley. Top Fuel Harley is one of my buddies.
Top Fuel Harley guys.
I think he's totally insane.
Cars, you know, any of that stuff. If there's a track within 50 miles of you, they got to get it somewhere, Bill.
Oh yeah.
The oil and the nitromethane you can get right off of eBay, but the methanol, I'm pretty sure you can buy methanol in 5-gallon quantities off of eBay too.
Yeah, I buy my 5-gallon methanol from VP Racing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Racing
That's where we get it.
And I forgot. I think I spent almost $50.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hey,
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
We hear you.
We hear you. Where are you at?
Good to have you back. Where you been, man? How was vacation?
I can't.
Uh-oh.
Can't see you.
I'm on vacation, man.
Oh, okay.
Is that why we can't see you?
I can't seem to turn my camera on. I got 260 megabits, and that ain't quite gonna cut it for Jitsi, but I thought I'd drop in and say hi. Looks like y'all are holding it together pretty good, Charles.
Yes, yeah. We have a couple new guests since last time you was on. As a matter of fact, we have a new guest that I'm not familiar with. I see Ed, and then the lady. I don't know the other person. Yeah. When you guys are new, if you will go to the 3 dots in the bottom, it has more actions, and then you can actually put your name, type in your name, so everybody knows what your name is. Hi,
Y'all was talking earlier about handles. I want to go out there in the building and got this one. I don't know where my dad got it or if he made it or what, but.
Oh, nice.
My word.
Made out of aluminum with hog rings. And it's got, what is it, Y21 stamped on the.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know where he got it from, but I've never been used. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Hey, you probably need to have those adjustable clips to adjust it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you what, if you decide
it's kind
to
of
go
big.
with
I mean, it fits the whole hand. So
if you
got a
decide to
wide
use
span. Got a wide span on it.
Wow, it is a big one.
Kind of like a hot rock or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
4-inch, 5-inch, whatever they are.
I think you should have some kind of adjustability on the spacing on the handle. Because
Yeah.
it's not
Well,
like
back when this one was made, I don't think they even thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this is probably at least 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's older than that.
Yeah.
It's older than that. I've been flying 45 years, and I've never seen anything like that before.
Well, like I said, I don't know if my dad made it when he was in the Navy, or just picked it up somewhere, or what.
Mm-hmm.
It's homemade, definitely.
Yep.
So, Tryon, your handle you were showing earlier, is that from the Smith Brothers?
Yeah.
It's a pretty thing.
You want to show it again? I can have you.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Wow. I like that.
It's very simple. Just a plate of carbon with some eyelets attached to it, and you just use this.
Yeah.
This,
adjustable clips.
Clips, yeah. So you can make them a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. So
yeah.
The one thing I wish I had to it, I really like my Kevlar leads on mine, because then when I reel it in and I bring the lines in, I like it a lot better. because that way I can just put my handle on my reel, just put the clip on or the rubber band, whatever, and I don't really care for them. But right now I have to remove the cables off the plane and off the handle as well, because otherwise I would have kinks and bends and stuff like that at the base of it.
Yeah.
So you
So
could just make some Kevlar extensions, all right, and just add it to the flying lines, and then do it that way.
yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Well, since the man's on here that makes those things, do you have any plans to make one that the throw at the bottom is adjustable?
Well, Jim Lee sells a kit. It's a bolt and got a little fixture with it, and you can make up about 6 different lengths. Now, last week when I was watching Mike, I thought that was a really good idea to, have something that comes off of it that you could then have your clips attached to, and run that silicone or that shrink wrap over the where the eyelet is, so that you can't get them to bend back and get clipped. Now, it depends how many planes you fly, but for me, I fly one plane with one handle.
That's what I do.
So basically what I do is when I remove the lines off, I leave one clip on the airplane and I leave one clip on the line at the airplane side. And then myself, I don't even roll up I just roll the lines up from there. I've never really had a problem with them kinking at the handle, but I can see where that's always possible. So we're going to give that some thought. We're coming up with a new design that we want a little bit wider handle spacing, so the handle will look a little bit different. And then the eyelets are very nice because it's easy to replace an eyelet. But exactly what we'll do, I'm not sure at this point. But if you dedicate one handle to one plane, it's not near as big a problem, because you're not.
I agree with you.
Because otherwise, you're adjusting clips from plane to plane, trying to get your handle centered every time.
That never works.
No, I don't do that. I just have, like you say, each plane has its own handle.
Yeah.
The only thing I was saying with if you make the overhang, I think is what I'm trying to say. If you make the overhang adjustable, especially the bottom, you can, if you extend the overhang a little bit, it takes some of the bounce. You can adjust your bounce out. I know you can fly the plane enough to where you don't do it, don't get it, but it's just quick to increase the overhang a little bit, and then when you pull out at the bottom, you just don't get the bounce. I really don't understand the magic to it, but Sparky was at Charlotte, and he was telling me about it. I had a new plane, and I was flying, and my bottoms were awful because they were just all over. Just get one good bounce, and then back straight. I never had that problem with an SV series plane before, and he suggested I extend the handle out a little bit, and my handles are adjustable, so I adjusted it out. I thought he was crazy, but it's Sparky. If he tells me something, I'm going to try it because he's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So I tried it, and the bounce disappeared, and I don't argue with Sparky.
Yeah, so the same thing. I was flying his Junar at the Nats last year, and he goes, "Charles, you need to extend your legs on your handle." And I did it, and I was like, "Wow!" And of course, I'm flying his airplane, so I'm gonna do whatever he tells me to do.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you that most experts that fly at the Nats, they want the least amount of overhang you can have. Now,
that's what I keep hearing.
There is another way to accomplish what you're asking, and we used to do it when we were kids, and I know several flyers that still do it. On your elevator horn, you can have whether it's one of the adjustable ones, that's what I use, so that I can adjust the actual throw as well. you know, up or down to get more throw or less throw. But one of the things that we used to do when you would have a single hole is you would put a bushing in it, and that bushing would allow a little slop.
Yeah.
I know guys that go to great lengths to get just the right amount of slop in that elevator. And so basically when you're flying, the elevator is flying neutral for you. And then when you pull out, that gives you that little bit of cushion that you're talking about. Now, normally what I have found is I don't need either one of those. If you use the Tom Morris control system,
everything I've got stopped.
or yeah. Now Tom also makes, you can get rid of the ball link. There's some guys that have complained about the ball links getting loose. And so he makes the little 90-degree bend with a washer soldered on one end, and you use that instead of a ball link. But myself, what I have found is that if I am getting a bounce on the bottom, that means something is not aligned correctly in the airplane. Either my elevator is too low, my elevator is too high. So you really have to watch it when you're trimming. And you can see it a lot of times on like, you know, your horizontal eights. If you see that your airplane turns very easy in one direction and a little bit harder in the other direction, then that means just your elevator is probably out of alignment. That's a very, very fine adjustment, and you just have to keep working at it until you're getting the same diameter for the same input. Now the only drawback of trying to do something with a handle where you put some kind of a cushion in it, that carbon that Shreyan was showing you, that's made by a company called Dragon Plate. And our handles are a little, there's several guys that sell very similar handles, and they use a 3/16 inch or a 3/32 inch material. So when we made ours, 3/32 I think is probably more than enough, and we're probably even going to consider it for our next version. But the handles we're selling now are 1/8 inch Dragon Plate.
No, it's 3/32.
What's that?
It's 3/32, 97 thousandths. I just measured it.
You just measured it.
It's
But Dragon Plate calls it 1/8 inch. So I don't know what they're selling. If ours are only 3/6 or 3/32, I don't know what the other handles are.
This is 3/32.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 90.09375. It's 3/32, and I'm measuring 935.
Okay.
So it's right there.
Maybe they do a little more finishing, but the Dragon Plate is really strong. I mean, you cannot break it, and it's a solid piece. And one of the reasons we went with a little thicker version is everybody has a different size hand, but the handle only comes in one size. So if you have a really big hand, you're going to have a problem. Anytime we sell one, we say, well, you need to put one in your hand. And so if you know somebody, you can do that, or we'll send you a little template, and you can cut it out of paper, cardboard, or whatever, and you put your hand in it. Now, the whole reason for that type of a handle is the weight of the handle. That handle weighs, I don't know, you got a scale there, Trayan?
I can put it on a scale if you want me to.
It should be less than 1 ounce.
It fits Trayan's airplane because his airplane don't weigh much either.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much truth there really is in it, but I will tell you this. We used to fly the Casminato handles all the time, and that's a beautiful handle. It's a cable handle. It has adjustments everywhere.
That's what I'm flying, Jim. Cas handle.
Yeah. Yep, I saw your Cas last week. It's a really nice handle, but it's heavy. It's light compared to Mini, but it's heavy compared to these carbon handles.
Oh, they're beautiful compared to the junk I used to fly in combat, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you've ever got one of those large Brodak red handles,
I have one of those that weighs about 7 ounces.
those things weigh about 5 ounces. You know.
Yeah,
You
they
get
are.
through the
whole
pattern and
idea.
it's heavier than that.
I sold every hot rock I owned and got rid of everyone. I did want to mention, Jim, that tip you gave about having a little bit of play in your horn and your elevator at the push rod. Len Burrell discussed that at length one night on here a few months ago. Len from Canada, he basically is saying exactly what you said, that the elevator can find neutral if you got a little bit of slop in there, and it helps with the bounce. So now that I've heard it twice, I'm going to take it as gospel and start incorporating that into my future builds.
Well, it definitely helps. However, I will say that if you have a good control system, I don't believe that you really have to have the slop. But
I'll agree with you on that.
You do have to be a really good trimmer. You know,
back in '57, when I was a kid and learning the pattern and that, we used to put a little. We found that as the elevator horn wore out and we had a little slop in there, it flew better. And so we started drilling it out a little bit, put a little slop in the first place. Problem was that we're masking the problem. The problem is in your trimming, and in what you do, you've got too much elevator compared to your flap going in there. Right. So you need to cut back on the elevator, and that way you won't overshoot what's happening. You're hitting it so hard, you're overshooting before you can. And you don't need that much elevator to make that square turn and make it right. It should hit it and lock in without with a good solid control system like we have today. Today's control systems are head and shoulders above what we had back in the 50s and 60s.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And how?
Did you? I have a question for you then. So you were using more flaps than elevator?
No. No, I start out myself. I start out with like 27, 28 degrees of flaps and about 33 to 36 degrees of elevator.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can increase the elevator or decrease the elevator. But in the planes I fly and the way I trim them out, I don't need 1-to-1. I don't go to 1-to-1. I haven't been 1-to-1 in 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Finally, somebody else thinks the same thing I think.
Yeah.
No, because the way you said it earlier, you said you didn't need as much elevator. So I was thinking maybe you have less elevator compared to flaps.
No,
but
no,
it's the opposite.
actually,
more elevator. More elevator.
In my situation, I might have 27-degree flaps and say 34 degrees of elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I might need to come back down on my elevator maybe 2 degrees,
mm-hmm.
And see where I get there. I may wind up back to 1-to-1, 27 on both, but I won't go past that. That's ridiculous. But you know me, I'm also a heavy believer in having down thrust on the airplane. That has made a huge difference on my airplanes and the way they fly. So,
I ended up taking quite a bit of flaps out of the plane after the nets.
Did you do that, Trey? By putting more elevator in it, or how'd you do that? I know there's all kinds of adjustable, but I was just wondering, how did you do it?
Either way, I mean, on my plane you can do it either way. But what I like to do is I like to keep my controls to get maximum mechanical advantage. So I can do it any normal place. I can, if I want to have less flaps, I can increase elevator or take the flaps down. Either way works.
Wow.
You get the same result, right?
That's an amazing bird.
Do you have slotted horns?
No.
You'd have to see his airplane. You talk about the work.
Well, yeah, I've seen it, but I just didn't know if he had holes in it or you can move holes to get the throw on it, or do you adjust the linkage?
No, it's on a dovetail. I have infinite adjustment on it, and it's on a dovetail system.
Oh, okay.
So the pin on which I have the bowling is pressed in, right? It sits on a platform, and this platform has angles on the bottom, like a dovetail, right? And on one side of the control horn, I have this dovetail kind of surface, and the clamp on the opposite side, it's also a dovetail, opposite, right? So as I squeeze it in, it also pulls it down against that arm that I have over there. So all I do, I just loosen up a little bit, slide it in or out, tighten it back down, and I'm done. And I can put any amount I want to.
So he can make this change in a few seconds. I saw him put his airplane together. You can't believe how fast that airplane goes together.
There was an article in Stunt News maybe 15, 20 years ago from an Australian fellow who developed he did some development on the bell crank, in which he ran he mounted the bell crank so it turned the whole shaft. And then the shaft went and came out on the bottom of the wing, and he had a cross piece there that was slotted, and he could run one to the flap, and he could adjust the amount of flap throw on the one side, and the other went to the elevator, and he could adjust the amount of elevator. And then he put in a flight program where he was checking to see just how much flap he had to have on that airplane to do the pattern correctly. Wound up using 7 degrees of flaps up and down. That's all he had. And I think he was, if I remember correctly, and don't trust this one too well because my memory's fuzzy on it, but I believe he had about 20 degrees of elevator up and down. So
a nice long tail moment.
It doesn't take as much throw sometimes as we think it does.
Well, yeah, like I said, on that Scooter 2 that I got, man, the tail and elevator on it, or the flaps and the elevator on it, hardly move.
Yeah.
Charles can tell you that.
Yeah, I haven't flown mine in a while, but I really did like how the Tudor flew. It flew quite nice.
But I thought, man, this thing ain't going to turn worth a crap. But, you know, showed me wrong.
Has a lot to do with the weight.
Surfaces don't look like they move.
Has a lot to do with the weight, Ed.
Yeah.
You know.
And your center of gravity too.
Yes.
Right.
Center of gravity makes a huge difference. And
absolutely.
I mean, there's so many systems we got working in these airplanes. It's just crazy, you know, because Mike Waldron, his good friend of ours, he gave us 2 airplanes to practice with. And he says, Mike's got more airplanes he knows what to do with. You know, he wanted to get a couple more. He says, he's got to go. So he gave us an SV-11 that he said, man, I can't get this thing to fly for nothing. Well, when we started looking at it, that's the one I'm going to be flying in Canton. He had like 9 degrees of down elevator compared to his flap. Also, his elevators were not equal to each other, you know, so we just zeroed everything out, and that plane just flew like a dream. I didn't hardly have to do anything else to it. Now, the other plane he gave my brother Wayne, it had some real serious issues, and it had to do with the flaps. When he would fly, every time you would turn, that outboard wing would either want to fly, you know, when you gave it up, it would drop a little bit, okay? But when you were coming up like in a square 8 and you hit that down corner, that sucker about rolled in on you. And what the problem was is that he had too much flap on the outboard wing.
He was wanting to do a barrel roll.
Yeah, it was barrel rolling, let me tell you. It was pretty exciting flight. So my brother, what he did, it was a full flap from fuselage to the tips, and he started cutting he cut a couple of pieces on each end of the wing. One he made stationary, and the other one he made adjustable. But he kept having to adjust the amount, and then ultimately he ended up having to trim the edge a little bit of that outboard flap. And reshape it and remonocoat it and that kind of stuff. And once we could get the wings to fly level, that is a beautiful flying airplane, because Mike builds a real light planes to start with, and then he monocoats them. I mean, my SV11 weighs like, I'm running a Thunder Power battery in it, and it weighs probably maybe 60 ounces. And the Cav 11, which is what he called the other one, I don't know how I came up with that name, but it's half Cavalier and half SV11, I think.
Cav 11.
Cav 11, yeah. But it only weighs like 58 ounces. So it's a pretty light aircraft. And it's a beautiful flyer. Both planes fly beautifully now. And my brother went up to Mike's last weekend and let him fly the Cav 11 because they didn't think there was any hope for that. So it just goes to show you that there are a lot of different things that can affect. You know, they all interrelate. And it's just like John was talking about, where, you know, on some planes it takes very little, but a lot of that has to do with where your CG is. You know, your CG moves forward and backwards. The more forward, the harder it is to get that sucker to turn. The further back that your CG is, the easier it is to turn.
Right.
Now, when you get the CG too far back, you'll get a plane that wants to hunt all the time.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so it's just an incremental thing to go until you find the CG where it will groove in level flight and it will groove in the loops. And when you get to there, you're pretty darn close. But the first thing, anytime we look at an airplane, before we ever even start trimming on it, is we put the nose on the ground and we get up right behind it and we sight down the flaps and the elevators just to check to see whether they are both in the same position.
Right. Right.
The flaps aren't twisted, the elevators aren't twisted. If they are, we tweak them back into place, and then you just start from there. And then it's just a process after that, because you got wingtip weight that can affect that. There's just a million things that, you know, you have to look at to really get one to fly really good. It has to be straight. If you got a wing warp, you got to take the wing warp out, or you're never going to have a plane that's going to even get, because it's just a balancing thing, you know. You're giving up something here to get something over here, and, you know, but a warped wing can put a problem in a plane that you can't trim out.
Yep.
It's got to be straight.
One thing you mentioned was the center of gravity, you know, and you mentioned in the loops shown, and it really does show up in the loops for any given design. You know, I think there's actually an optimal place for that particular layout for the CG to be. Some people want to move it further aft, and they can do it, but like you say, it's a trade-off. When your airplane flies in your insides and it's trying to close the loop up, you have to keep fighting that loop to keep it on the same radius instead of going smaller. That's telling you that your airplane is tail heavy. The tail is throwing it out as it goes around due to the CG effect, anyway, or the centrifugal effect. It's throwing the tail out and it's pulling the nose in, and it wants to tighten up that loop. And so your solution to that is to put change the CG, make it, because you're too tail heavy. If on the other hand, if you're going around in that loop and it's trying to open up, what's that telling you? Your nose is too heavy on that.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you got to put in its nose heavy, so you got to change the CG and get it back. You get it set up right, like he's saying. If you get it set up right, you could practically just sit there and relax while you're doing the loops, because insides and outsides will be the same. Once you've got your elevators adjusted, if you got too much down bias, you're gonna have some problems in your elevator. But that's another part of the discussion. Getting that CG and by doing loops is one way make sure you got the CG good for that design. At least you're at a good starting place.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so what I
that's
yeah
go ahead.
what I
Go ahead, Trina.
yeah what I found out is that um the everything is a trade-off, right? So there are planes and planes out there, like you say, John, and it's just different way of setting them up. Typically, a super light plane, you want a more forward CG. Heavy planes, you want an aft CG. Uh, so that's one thing I kind of noticed myself. So and another thing that I found out is that sometimes you may think your CG is good and it flies well over there. It might fly very well over there, but as when the winds start to increase or you are in more turbulent air, you find out that the plane is not turning as well as when it's nice outside in this nice calm conditions. So so what I'm if I had like a program to get the CG right, you know, maybe if it's a nice outside, I find a CG range where it, like the plane is still tracking, so a usable CG range, right? So you know you can be anywhere in there, and the plane is going to turn, is going to track nicely and stuff like that. So, but after that, as when the wind increases outside and you start to fly a little bit in the wind, see how the plane reacts, right? So if it's not turning, you need to push the CG back.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now, like you said, John, it's the more forward the CG is going to be when you do your loop. On the top of the loop, say at the bottom of the loop you have this much, right? Let me do a better explanation. Here's a ruler, right? On the bottom of the loop you have this much input. On the top of it, you back it off a little bit, right? So as you come towards the bottom, you increase. On the top, you decrease a little bit. Increase on the bottom, decrease on the top. So the more forward the CG is, you have this is on the bottom, this is on the top. It has a lot of, cycling. I call it like a cycling of the controls as you come on top and you bring it to the bottom. But as the CG comes back and towards the neutral, you have very little of this. But now, it all depends what the plane is. And
Exactly.
yeah. And somebody asked about my control system. This is my bell crank.
Wow.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So this is
that was Ted. He's asking about that.
Yeah. So this is the bell crank basically. The way it works, when I want to put my lines on, I just flip this open. I put my lines in, close it. And that's all about the lines. This is just how I put my lines on and off. And I'm using normal size eyelets that you run around. You're just like it's nothing different. I have none of that, extra wires that go around and for the cables. None of that. It's just directly from the lines. I put an eyelet on it. I wrap it around, and that's it.
Nice.
So that's that. So just to understand how it's working, right? So I have an arm on one side, and this arm is pivoting around, right?
Right.
Like that. Okay. And as you can see on the top of this arm, I'm not sure if you can see it.
I can see it.
Can you see the dovetail on this side?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So my control horn goes on this slide in here, right? And what I do, I just release the screw. I slide it in and out in any position over here, like from here to all the way up here. Obviously, the slide is narrow, so I have to move the screw on one of these options here, right?
Right.
Okay. But I can put the control horn arm anywhere in here. So that's how I adjust my throw on it. Okay.
That's
Now,
the throw on the push rod going to the bell crank?
yeah. Now I can have a second adjustment. You see, this is on the flip side. I have my bearing, right?
Right. Wow.
And the way this works is that it works like this. Okay. So as the bell crank moves, it moves my arm, right? Okay.
Mhm.
Kind of like that.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's so sweet.
All right. So now what happens? Right now my setup is kind of like this. My bearing is very close to my handle. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit inside, but it's almost maxed out. So I have a lot of mechanical advantage here. So when I give control from my handle, it really puts a lot of torque on this rod here. It puts a lot of torque, a lot of power into it, right?
Right.
So basically, I can adjust it anywhere. I can adjust it from here because I have independent arms. I have two of these in my plane. Okay, one of them is connected to the flaps, and the other one is connected to the elevator. So I have a push rod that goes from the bell crank to the elevator, and another one that goes from the bell crank to the flaps, and they're independent of each other. Now you can see the bearing in here.
Yeah.
So the bearing and the other stuff is virtually identical for setup. So what I do, you just release the screw, move it to the new position, tighten down, and now it's running with the new position. Okay.
And once you run out of that position, you pull it out and run it to a different hole. Your adjusting screw.
Yeah. You can see the dovetail in here.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you move it past the dovetail, you got to pull it out and slide it into the next hole set.
Yes. Yeah. But this bearing can be anywhere in here.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
So like somebody said, it's like if you have I have the handle, which the previous handle didn't have any adjustment in the spacing, right? But I didn't need it because I can make all the adjustment of the bell crank.
On the plane, yeah. Exactly.
If I wanted more throw, all I have to do is just take my push rod from here and just slide it out a little bit. So that's gonna give me more throw. And I can add more throw on the elevator, on the flaps, or both. It really doesn't matter.
Now that's a 4-inch bell crank, right?
Yes, it is.
What do you think your average offset is from the pivot point to the push rod, like going to the flaps? What do you think you normally would have it set at?
Right here on a bearing.
Right, but the push rod is connected to the outside of that, so that distance is about what, an inch or inch and a half?
No. Actually, my push rod is connected to about here.
Okay, so that typically would be what?
So I have about 3/4 of an inch or so.
Okay.
From here to here. But think about it. I have a lot of mechanical advantage from here. You see that?
Yeah.
This has to move quite a bit before like the tongue is going to move. And now I have a second mechanical advantage in here because my push rod is very close to the pivot arm, right?
Yeah.
Charles, you have to go ahead.
So the closer my push rod, the closer it gets to this point here, the less it's going to move, but the more power I'm going to have into it.
Yeah, that's totally trick. That's why I said it. You won't be the bottom feeder very long and expert because you have a more plane.
Yeah.
It's a scum sucking bottom feeder. Come on, get it right.
He won't be there for a while though. He's going to be climbing the scale real quick.
Well, sure he is.
I'm trying to fly some more now, and I'm trying to be more conscious. Let's put it this way, Charles, or if you ever saw me flying, I'm flying more on instinct rather than practice. I'm not thinking when I'm flying. I'm just flying on instinct. So that's how I fly. But
Yeah.
from now on, as I start to practice, I'm gonna be more like, what am I doing with my hand?
Right.
How do
With
I
your
keep
feet.
my rounds a little bit rounder? I had some other issues. For example, I had the sensitivity on the plane was set too high, and when the wind was blowing, the plane would speed up in the maneuvers. So we took a lot of that sensitivity out of it. I mean, we were about half what I had before. I think I was running 55 or 60. Now I'm down at 30. So I have a lot less sensitivity because the plane was actually charging on upline. Was just speeding up. It was too strong on upline, and so I had to take a lot of sensitivity out of it. And I also noticed it on when I was qualifying this year, and I noticed like it was speeding up quite a bit. It was pulling very hard. So yeah, so I'm learning as I'm learning, and I'm gonna get a little bit better. Uh, I need to work on kind of everything. Actually, I'm working on developing a flying style, so something that I can start to follow and make it part of my routine. And it's like, what do you look at? Like simple stuff, like what do you look at when you fly a maneuver? Do you look at the plane? Do you look at the background? Do you what do you do with your hand? And it's like, so going back to the subject of sensitivity that was set too high, what I was doing at the nets, as I was doing my loops, I think they were getting bigger and bigger. I was doing my first loop like this, second one was just a little bit larger, and the third one a little bit larger. And I didn't notice it because the time from the start to the bottom of the loop was the same. But because the plane was speeding up, obviously the second one was a little bit bigger, and the third one was a little bit bigger. And I didn't realize that at all because I was looking at the plane. I had my eye on a plane instead of kind of flip-flop a little bit and focus some on the background, some on a plane. And I'm just I can fly
That'll come with time.
yeah, I fly instinctively very well. I can pick up somebody's plane and just put a good flight on it, right, first flight out. I just get a feel for it. How does it do on up or on down line? I get a feel for the corner of the plane. I get a feel for the line tension or something like that. And then from that point, okay, I know this plane now. I can go for it. So I just fly the pattern from that point on because. And I adapt to it like that because I fly instinctive. I don't fly because of a routine or something like that. But if you want to go at a high level and you want to compete at the high level with these other guys, now you have to work on details.
Right. But, I'm excited for you, Tryon, is that you're going to be pitting with the experts. When I went from the intermediate pit to the advanced pit, I got some coaching from the guys in the advanced. Now, the guys in the advanced were better than the guys that I was pitting with in intermediate.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to experience the same thing, pitting now with the experts. And it's going to be some experts that will see your flight, and sometimes they'll just volunteer some tricks and some information you maybe didn't know, and it's going to just catapult you to be even better just because of the company you're going to be in,
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about you learning some things because we don't have too many experts in our video chats. I think you're the only expert now. Who else is expert? Are you an expert, Bill?
No, advanced.
Okay, so now we have an expert.
I fly expert.
What?
I fly expert.
Oh, great. So that's going to help us because all we can bring to the conversation is what we've learned in the advanced pit. And I think it's going to be great.
Tryon, you mentioned that the things that you're paying attention to. I was told that the first things you got to, or the things you got to look for and watch for when you're flying a pattern is size, placement, intersections, and tops and bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, those are the things you've got to concentrate on them. You want to lay all your loops on top of each other, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is all placement. Also, the tops and bottoms, how high the loops are. They should be at 40 degrees. Too many people fly them too small or too big.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they just got in the habit of doing it.
Yeah.
Either one will not score well for you. But you know, I gotta get in there with what Charles was saying. You know, it's exciting where you're headed for, and you're young enough to be able to do it. I'm such an old codger now. I don't know. You know, if I'd have kept going at it, you know, and got back in it right after I got back out of the Navy, I might have been able to do something or be somewhere. But you know, I'm still advanced. If I hadn't have got electrocuted, I'd probably be an expert. But I haven't flown much since then, since I got electrocuted. And yeah, it just, you know, I don't know if I can fly. I put up a flight as good as my better advanced flights right now. I don't think so. But we'll see. Maybe a little practice that'll get me back there.
Yeah.
Remember, Woolridge won the world championship at what age? He won
16.
it. Yeah. Please never know.
Hey, if you've ever seen Frank Williams fly from Texas, he's in his 80s, and I'm telling you, that guy can do some flying.
Yeah.
Gene Martin, he makes the top 20 almost every year. I've made the top 20 a couple times, but it's you know, it's tough competition. Now, one thing about it that I always took to heart is Ted Fancher is a very smart man, and he will tell you that where your hand is positioned, whether it's straight up and down or you lean it left or lean it right. I'm sure we've all seen really good flyers fly with that hand all over the place.
Yes.
What the two things that I think that really would help someone who is trying to become more precise, because this is precision aerobatics, is it's not easy to find one. I don't have one, but if you can lay out a circle into 8 equal segments, that divides your pattern up. And so between 2 of the posts is the size of that's the width of a loop. And if you can put it on those posts, the 2 outside edges, well, it's also going to show you how high that loop needs to be, because it's a square, you know, it's a round loop.
Right.
It's very helpful when you're doing wing overs. You have a post that you can enter the wing over with, and if you're not coming out at the opposite one, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but Fancher has always been a believer that the end product is that you are drawing maneuvers in the sky. Everything John said, you know, that your bottoms need to be at the bottoms, you know, your loops need to be the right size, and they need to overlay. And if you're able to set up a circle that you can divide into 8 quadrants, you would be surprised. I've had a fortune of flying on a couple of circles like that, and it really is helpful. You know, I've got where I fly at, we do have some posts to keep people out. So the wing over, sometimes I'll miss the wind on purpose, just because this post is pretty close, and so I'll pick the post so that I can see where I come out on the opposite post, to see if I'm getting any wiggle upstairs or anything like that. But the main thing is, no matter how your feet are, what your posture is, how you hold your hand, all that doesn't really matter a whole heck of a lot. It's, can you draw these circles in the sky and put your 3 loops in the exact same place?
Right.
And it's just like John was saying, when I go to do a loop, as I start the loop, what I want is to be able to just do a little flick and hold it. And just watch the airplane go all the way around and end up. No input. If you got an input, you've got a problem. But if you can take your hand and just give the right amount up that you need to make the right size circle, and it comes right back out where you started, then you're getting really close to a good trimmed out airplane. And it's like he says too, if your plane is tail heavy, it's going to have a tendency to want to undercut all the time. You can't get close to the ground. All right. If it's too nose heavy, you're going to be having a lot of ooh moments as you get really close to the ground. So
I like that. I'll borrow that one. Ooh moment.
Yeah, ooh moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a new moment. That's for sure. I've
That's
got
not
it.
what I call them.
We call them something a little stronger, but I'm gonna borrow yours. I like the ooh moment.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Phil.
Well,
That's the letter S by there.
Yeah,
I'll give
that's
you a
it.
funny story. Mike Walden, he's a really excellent flyer. If the guy would just spend the time to learn how to build his own airplane and learn how to finish. He's got his own paint booth. he never paints anything. But he bought a Yashinko Shark. This is a $5,000 airplane. I think it takes 6 years to get one, but he found a used one. He loved that plane. He said, this is the best flying. He's got a Cosmonaut take apart, and he's got all these planes. He says, this is the best plane I have ever flown. And he probably got 10 flights on it and decides he's going to play with the CG just a little bit. And so what he does is he has a new moment. He takes a stick of lead and he sticks it right at the fuselage, on the side of on the fuselage, but he kind of neglected to think about it because the elevators, they don't have fillets, and they are really close to the elevator. I mean, to the fuselage. And he put that piece of lead right there. And basic 101, my dad taught me this when I was 8 years old. Every time you pick up that handle to begin a flight, the first thing that you do is you raise up and you look at your elevator to make sure it's going up.
Yeah,
and you push down and you make sure it's going down. And he didn't do that. And he came around and he did he said, man, that thing, he slid the battery back, right? He says, man, that thing just, it was like greased lightning, man. It was a really good square. Comes over to do the reverse wing over, goes to give it down, and the piece of lead would not let the elevator move.
Oh no, $5,000 plane.
That Yashinko Shark went straight in. I got a bucket of the nose of it out there.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm gonna build him a new fuselage because we're building some molds for a Yashinko Shark kind of looking thing. So but it just goes to show you, you're never too young and you're never too old to make sure up is up and down is down.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
You always should check for freedom in your controls.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Jim, is that when we were in France and they had all the placards up around and gave you, like you said, the 8 different places, you could really see who missed the bottom, who missed corners,
who made them too big, who
came in one place in the wing over and exited out not straight across. And I mean, when I watched them, I'm like, oh my God, especially the guy that was from Japan that flew at the Nats, and they said his bottoms were way too low and stuff. No, they weren't. All the Americans are way too high.
Yeah.
Way too high.
Yeah, 4 foot. He puts his bottoms at 4 foot, I think.
About 4.5 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, he
puts
was
it
so
down there.
consistent between 4 and 5 foot because it has the blue line, the 2 reds, and he will slice in between that blue and red line every single time. I mean,
he probably has a field that he flies on with those 8 segments.
Yeah,
You know,
and I
so
mean, you can
do
really
every part of
tell.
it.
You can really tell people who's practiced with them cards, and I
Yeah.
mean, they can nail bottoms right after
Yeah,
another.
I mean, nothing replaces practice. I mean, you can have the best flying airplane in the world, and unless you're willing to, put in a lot of practice, or else you're already getting awfully good, you're going to run into problems just like that. So
Does oh, I'm trying to think of his name. Lived down there. He's world champion stuff.
Orestes,
Arrested. Does
yeah.
he fly with them cards and stuff?
Does he fly with what?
With
I
like
don't know. I've never been to his field. I've met him a couple times in Miami. We were talking molds and doing some mold stuff. He actually gave me one of his molds for the new elliptical Yashenko shark, and we took the mold and we made a plug, and so now we're going to make our own molds, so we can have something along those lines, to give one of those a try. It doesn't matter if it's a shark or whatever it is. It's like trains airplane. You start getting a good carbon wing, it's incredible how light they are.
Yeah.
I mean, this plane has like 5 ribs in a wing panel. That's it. It's all it's got.
Who, the shark?
Yes, the shark.
Okay.
And the shark, I think it's called Aerocell. They call it something different in Europe. I'll go get it and show it to you in a second. It's a foam of a type that will mold. And so what you do is once you get your mold made, you go through all the preliminary steps of waxing it and getting your PVA down and all that. And then you lay this foam in there. And you will then start impregnating it with your resin. And you shoot your gel coat down first, or your polyurethane, whatever whatever you're gonna paint with. And then once that's in and dry, you lay this foam in there, and then you just come in there and impregnate the foam. And
Airex, Jim. It's called Airex.
Airex. In the US, or is that what it's called in Europe?
That's what's the name of the material, Airex.
Okay. I'll get the roll here in a second and show you.
Something I want to add in there. There is one thing that beats practice. Just to make this quick little announcement, it's what beats practice is practice with a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's true. That's true.
There's something that's gonna beat both.
Yeah.
What's that?
A whole lot of luck.
Yeah.
Well, luck takes the back seat if you've got enough good practice with a good coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I first met Brett Buck. He was just a young man then, and nice guy. And he was flying a strange-looking airplane, and everybody's teasing him about looking like 4 billboards flying in formation. But he practiced. He practiced with a coach, and he got better and better. And son of a gun, if he isn't really a darn good flyer now, he actually won the Nats once. And he's placed or made, not placed, but he's made the cutoff often enough. The thing with practicing without a coach is if you're doing something wrong, you practice till you get your mistakes perfect.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So having a coach helps you make sure that your mistakes aren't permanent.
Yep.
Yeah, you can practice in mistakes that are hard to get rid of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And how?
That's why it's good to have a brother that flies with you.
Yeah.
There's your coach.
We coach each other.
Yeah, somebody will tell you the truth like your brother, huh?
If you fly with if you're lucky enough to have somebody you fly with for many years, and they get used to the way you fly, and you get used to the way they fly, and you can go over and rib each other and tell them, "Look, Tom, you're screwing up. You're doing this wrong," and they'll listen to you. you learn to be not only a good flyer, but a good coach and a better judge. Because I end up judging a lot. And it's really good to get with somebody that you know, and you've flown with them enough that you know them, and you know when they're screwing up and when they're just having a bad day. Because sometimes they're having a bad day, and I see some mistakes, but I'm not even going to mention them today. We'll wait till next trip.
Hey, Phil.
And he does me the same way. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Just a little quick aside. Did you print them out yet?
I took him over. He wasn't working today. The girl that was working today is, let me just say, I don't like the way she does it. So
Okay.
I left it for Todd to do tomorrow when he comes in.
Oh, cool.
So I should be able to pick him up tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll pick him up then. The girl, I had her do some stuff for me a while back, and got home, and I was so tickled I was going to get to do this airplane, and I got to measuring it, and it was almost a quarter of an inch off.
Yeah.
That's not that much, but I want it right.
It is when you're using a pattern sheet or using.
Yeah. Well, that was the hard part of it. The plane was the Pathfinder Twin, and every page was a little different. So this one's off a quarter inch. This one's off 3/16 of an inch. Nothing would have fit. So I waited and took it back over and just showed him the prints. He just threw them all in the trash, and he said, "Where's your original?" Well, all I had then was the Flying Models magazine. He said, "I'll make it work. It'll take me a couple of days, but I'll make it work." By George, he did. I hadn't had any problem at all cutting that thing out.
Oh, that's
but I have to wait. But he just works 3 days a week, and I take it and make sure he does it, and everything works.
One of the biggest mistakes some of the low-time people make is they print to fit the paper. They don't print to one-to-one.
Yeah. I told him I don't give a hangnail. You use the bigger paper, and I'll pay for the bigger print. I want it right.
Yep.
And he knows to do that, but I don't think she does. But she doesn't do it that much. So
all the ones I've had printed, I took a ruler, tape measure with me, and measured them right there.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. I've gone to the same guy for 25 years, and I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
If he says it's scaled right, I don't even question how much do I owe you, and I go home.
Yeah.
They're right. But the girl is used to printing architectural plans and copying them, and they come in all different sizes. So she prints them whatever size is convenient, and sometimes it's to scale, and sometimes it's not.
Well, it's easy to print to fill a paper. That's a real easy setting to do. But to get it to one-to-one, to get it
different,
that takes a little creative thinking.
Yeah, I did a plane that she had blown up for me a few years back, and when I got it all built up, I was getting ready to glue the formers in. I'd already put the motor mounts together and everything, and I knew I'd take a set of plans and make a kit, and then I build the plane. And I was starting to put the thing together, and just something told me, I'm an old technician, and I see Tom says there's no way you can see that, but I see it. And I said, that's not big enough. And I tried to put my motor in there, and it wasn't big enough for the motor to go in. So then, after I've already cut all the wood, then I got my ruler out, started checking the plans, and said, oh man, this thing's off almost 3/4 of an inch. Woo! It's too late then. I mean, so I ended up building the plane and putting a 25 in instead of a 46. So it turned out to be a great little airplane, and I can't even remember the name of the plane now, but anyway, I ended up giving that to a kid at one of our contests. He's not a kid, but about 22 years old, and he's not a builder. Lord, he's not a builder, but he loves to fly and just enjoy himself. So I said, I can't give you the motor because I don't have another one, but I'll give you the plane, and if you'll buy you a motor. The next week he came out there with an RC motor on that darn thing with a carburetor tagged open. Hey, it worked. I mean, it worked.
It works.
Well, that just proves that guys measuring and women measuring are different.
Yeah.
That's why
this is 6 inches, huh, Steve?
They keep believing that this much is 12 inches.
Oh, I don't believe I
Whose
can get
fault
away
is
with that.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
So,
Jim, I was
talking
saying.
about a coach and practicing and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Maybe 7 years ago this weekend at Samantha, we went to a contest where she's going to fly her first full pattern. So that was at FCM. We get there, you know, she's all nervous and stuff, and flying over pavement, you know, for the first time at a contest. She gets out there and flies, you know, she gets done and she said, "What'd you think?" I said, "It was a great flight." I said, "But you forgot your 2 horizontal 8s. She goes, "I did not." I said, "You did." And she got really mad at me. She goes, "No, I did them good." We're walking off. She walks up to the judges, and the judges says, "Well, that was a pretty good flight if you'd have did your 2 horizontal 8s, you know, your horizontal ones." You know.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, she looked at me. She goes, "I really did forget them." And I said, "Yeah, why would I lie to you? I don't know, you know." But she really believed she did them.
Yeah.
She thought she did them good.
I tell you what. I have learned at a contest I carry a cheat sheet. One side of it's got the modern pattern, the other side's got the old time pattern. And where I learned this from, believe it or not, Bob Hunt was at a contest, and I saw him. He kept looking down at his hand, and I thought, what the heck? So when it was over, I know Bob pretty well. I walked up, "Bob, what the heck are you looking at? I know you talk to yourself when you fly, but what the heck are you looking at?" He pulled his card out of my pocket and handed it to me. I said, "A cheat sheet." He says, "Yeah, I get lost just like everybody else."
Do you know?
Put it back in his pocket. Now
One of the funniest
things
I saw with Bob Hunt is he had at a contest, he had missed either his triangles or he missed something, left it out, and the guys the next day he had to fly again. The guys got out there and they had big cards, you know, like on 4x4. They had him sit there and they'd come around, he'd flip it up and say, "Horizontal flight."
Oh, no.
And they had cards for every maneuver.
Oh, I bet Bob was fit to be tied.
Cue cards.
I messed up too. I messed up too this year. I did my my first qualifying flight, and it was a pretty solid flight, right? And I put 5 inverted laps instead of 6. Oh. But you know what? That held for the second place in that round. Wow. It was still good for a second place.
Wow.
So you get partial score for that, right?
No,
no.
Or is that considered a complete pattern?
I lost 25 points for the pattern.
Yeah.
But I was still good for second place in that round. So it was just qualifying. I didn't care too much.
What I always told Samantha is if you lose count on your level laps, add 1 or 2.
Yeah.
You can't deduct from too many, but they damn sure will if you don't do enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure. And another thing I'm doing now, and after the Nats, I went out to fly, and I went out to fly mainly to try this new handle, which I really like, right?
What new handle did you get?
And
Smith Brothers handle.
Some guy Jim, you know, just sells this stuff. You just
they're good, but they're overpriced, I think. But
oh no,
we give one away at every contest. We can't help the coronavirus with making us stay home.
So
all right.
So what I did as I was doing this, I was also trying to do more of a drawing with the plane, rather than just flight and focus on it and stuff like that. And it was a huge difference. I mean, I started to see things a lot more clear, and it's a lot easier to fly like that. A whole lot easier, actually.
Yeah, if you put most of your concentration in flying the maneuvers correctly and just use your peripheral vision, you know, to kind of see what else is around you. You know, I think that's the best way to do it for sure. By the way, guys, here's the Aero X, right? You called it, Trayan?
Aerex. AIREX.
And you can see it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. And so once you get your mold
laid up with your gel coat in it or whatever, then you cut just some sections of this and you lay that into your mold, and it'll kind of bend around, your tips and things like that. And
Yeah, it does.
then you come in with your finishing resin. And in the case of a shark, really all he has is that they have a nice aluminum machine piece that holds the bell crank, and it comes out a little bit into the wing. And then for that piece, you just use carbon toe out to the tip. That's how the Yashinkos do it.
Now, is that what he uses for the skin of his airplane? Is that stuff then?
Yes, for the wing. For the wing,
so
he uses this.
It's not a carbon fiber.
No, it's not carbon at all.
Yeah, Yashenko doesn't use any carbon. He's using either balsa sandwich with fiberglass on the outside, or just fiberglass with some carbon reinforcement.
That's the remains of Mike's Yashinko nose. Now, this is what else the Yashinkos do. Let's see if I can fix the light right. On all the other parts, he doesn't use the AirX. That is just, I think it's 20th inch balsa wood. And it's the same process, only with thin balsa like that, that's lightweight. You can basically just mold it around, and then you just cover that. This has, it's impregnated with resin, and that's pretty much how they go together. They don't weigh anything.
There's no fiberglass reinforcement. It's just balsa.
Yeah, no, there's fiberglass, but but all it is a very thin piece of fiberglass,
like half ounce or whatever.
Yeah, it's very thin. But it's you can, in fact, in a little bitty corner there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let's see if we can figure out where it is. Right.
I can see that stuff flapping a little bit there. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's actually, where's the piece? I just saw it. Oh, right here, this end. You probably can't tell, but this ridge right here.
Yeah.
This is fiberglass right here.
Oh, okay.
It's very light. So you put your gel coat down, and then you come in with a light fiberglass. Now he does this part a little different. I'm not sure exactly how he does it. If you can put fiberglass down right after the gel coat, and then because here's the gel coat finish, which is the white. So if I can get back a little bit, and so I don't know if he has fiberglass underneath. I don't see any, but I think he just, once the balsa is laid in there, he uses the real light cloth, fiberglass cloth. And we have a friend that's been helping us with molding. He used to mold up a bunch of pylon racers. Real nice guy. And that's what this is exactly how he did his wing this way. It's just balsa wood.
Jim, you be mindful about that, because pylon planes, they don't really give a rat's ass about the weight, because they have to get them up to a certain weight to fly them. They have a minimum weight. Okay?
Yes, right.
So they
also go very fast. So you've got a lot of stress.
Yeah. So what I want to say is that they do not care much about the weight. So gel coat for them, it's perfectly acceptable. If you put gel coat on yours, you're gonna end up with a brick. Okay, I tell you right now. And probably what you're looking over there, you're looking for us.
What is your plane weight, Trayan?
What?
How much is your plane weigh?
My whole plane, before I put controls and stuff inside of it.
No, with controls, with the battery, all up, ready to fly. What's it weigh?
I can go as low as 50 ounces, 51 ounces.
That's low. Low.
That's on a 710 square inches plane.
Yeah, it's a big wing. It is.
Yeah.
So what's different about how you're building you have a CNC mold because you're a machinist, right?
No, it's what you put in a mold. That's where you make the difference.
Yeah.
And the technique that you apply when you do that. So because there's a certain technique.
Okay.
If you put gel coat in your mold, I'll tell you right now, you're not going to end up with a light plane.
Well, we
You-
weren't
you-
sure whether we would put gel coat in the mold because
No.
what do you put in the mold? Well, you don't put anything in yours. Yours is carbon.
Yes, but I want to do the painting in a mold in the near future. So what I'm gonna try, the one thing that works every time, it's like 2K paints, but you have to put it with an airbrush, something that's super light.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
You only
Okay.
paint with an airbrush. What is it? An
Exactly.
automotive type paint?
Yes. Yeah, you can use automotive type paints. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So those are the choices that we're gonna have too. If we
that's
can do
one
gel
choice.
coat.
That's one of the choices, right? The second
Yeah.
choice that I heard of people using it with good success in gliders in particular. They use water-based paints. Okay.
Like an acrylic of some kind.
No, not acrylic. Water-based paints.
Have you ever heard of Nelson paint?
No.
Nelson paint is a water-based paint that you mix together and you put a catalyst in it, and it wouldn't matter for you guys because you're electric, Tryon, but it is fuel proof.
Mm-hmm.
It's fuel proof. Nelson paints.
Yeah.
Nelson pricey.
Can you still find it?
Yeah.
What's not pricey, Mike?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's saying it's kind of pricey, posting on a $3 stick right there.
I'll tell you what, Mike. If you didn't like pricey, you wouldn't have kids.
Yeah. So Jim.
Things.
So Jim, for what I want to say is couple of things that are to be careful about when you mold your parts.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, make sure you vacuum your cores. If you have dust in your cores, they will have very, very bad adhesion, right?
Yeah.
All laminations are pretty much some kind of a fiber, a core, and a fiber, right? Can be any combination. Can be carbon, foam, fiberglass, or fiberglass, foam, fiberglass. It's some kind of a lamination which you have a core material and some stuff on one side and on the other side, right?
Right. That would lead me to believe that the Yashinkos are probably laying fiberglass first on their fuselage parts. Then the 20th balsa, and then probably more fiberglass.
Yes. So for your purposes, 1/32 balsa is perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be an option. Use fiberglass with fiberglass, then with the balsa wood and fiberglass.
You don't think 32nd would be kind of like you put your finger through it? Our guy that did the
fiberglass.
But
the fiberglass is going to give you the rigidity.
Yeah, right. You're going to end up with a monocoque structure, basically, is what you're kind of trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's one thing. When you do the layout, so paint first, whatever base coat paint you want to have. In some cases, if you want to go with carbon fiber, you can do that. And you don't need a base coat because it's so beautiful. Carbon is so beautiful, you don't need anything.
It's really nice.
I mean, why paint it? It's just gorgeous as is. And it's light.
Hey, you guys, if you guys that are molding, if you want to try these are from back when I worked at Guardsman. And they're supposed to not affect paint. So there's no silicones or anything, but they're like a dust rag. When they prep stuff for molding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I use them all the time. Like before I put monocoat down, I use these on the wing and stuff like that. But I can send you guys some of these if you want to do a test deal and see if they work for making sure everything is clean on the molds before you.
Like a tack cloth.
Yeah. It's a tack cloth, but it's not tacky like a tack. You'd think like a tack cloth, but these were for real fancy furniture and all that kind of stuff. That they sold these. They're industrial.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys want to try some,
you can send me some, Steve, if you want. I'd like to try
I'll need to have addresses or whatever. And then
I think when they put the camera on, when you put your name in, you can put your email address in. Does it have that?
Yeah, Jim. There's a down in the left lower corner. You have the hand there. To the left is the screen share, I think, and to the right is the chat box.
Steve.
Steve,
if you look on Jim's window, there are 3 dots over there on upper right corner.
Yeah.
You can send a private message.
Are you talking about in your browser?
Oh yeah, you can. Okay. Go to my window, and then up in the corner there should be 3 dots, and send me a private message.
One says live, one says let me look.
No,
I see the 3 dots. Send a private message.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just give me your
I'll put my address in there for you.
All right. Oh, did you get the name? I was late getting on for that balsa.
Sorry, you missed it. You missed it about the balsa wood.
Yeah, damn it.
I missed it too, Steve. I don't know what Jim's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
I got it here for you. Don't worry.
Got these
Jim.
secrets now again, and I missed it.
Okay. The source for balsa wood? Is that what it is?
Jim, your layout for the fuselage, if you want to go with the balsa wood, is most likely it's going to be a 3/4 fiberglass ounce cloth on the outside, with the balsa and another 3/4 of an ounce fiberglass on the inside.
Okay. 3/4 ounce.
Yes. There is 1/2 ounce fiberglass, but I would not recommend that one because it is
3/4 ounce, 30-second balsa. You think it'd be enough?
More than enough, yeah. Yes, and 3/4 on the inside as well.
Why don't you like 1/2 ounce, Brian?
The 1/2 ounce is an unbalanced fiberglass. It has more strands in one direction versus the other one. The 3/4 is balanced. You have equal in both directions. So
unidirectional.
So yeah, if you look on the specs on the fiberglass, they tell you how many strands are going one direction, how many go in the other direction. And the only difference between the 1/2 ounce and 3/4 ounce is that you're gonna fill up those gaps where you don't have the fiberglass with glue. So rather have fiberglass than glue over there. That's the idea behind it.
Steve, did you get
Yep. Yeah, I'm copying it down right now, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
and Jim,
yeah.
And Jim, one more thing. When you make your fuselage, the Yashenko Shark, it's a very beautiful plane, right?
Right.
Don't worry about making scoops, built in the scoops into the mold or something like that.
I've already ordered a canopy. I'm going to get some blue foam and make a turtle deck. Mine's going to be a Spitfire.
Good idea.
Griffin Spitfire.
Yes.
Because not only do I have the Shark wing, I also have the GB3 wing, which is all rounded tips. They're not cut off like a Shark.
Yeah. So you can keep a little.
I talked to Resties, and he said he likes them both, but he flies a Shark. So for whatever that's worth. Now, you guys can see this here.
Let me click on you, Jim. 1 second.
Okay.
Make it big. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we did is we laid up this as our plug. We put this in the mold. We laid everything up. It's gel coat. We don't care how much it weighs.
Of course.
We want it to stay straight.
It's just a plug.
This is, plywood or what do you use in here? Pine, I think. I think we use pine. And so I keep it on a level table to try to keep it straight. And then on the back side, what we're doing, you can see what Train was talking about. You see these little lines right here?
Yeah.
That's where it starts. They're very, very faint. So I'm not going to use those. So what's going to happen now is that this is all going to get sanded down, and we're going to finish this just like an airplane, except I don't have to worry about the weight. So, you know, I can use whatever I want as long as I come up with the most mirror finish that I can possibly come up with. And then what we'll do before we lay this in there is I'll take some of this surgical blue. It's very tacky. And then the tack slowly goes away. It lasts a long time. It's a really good product. I'll be curious to see when Steve sends me some of the other stuff, how it works compared to surgical blue.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how the mold goes. You do them in halves, and then of course you'll end up joining them after once you lay up your fuselage. You'll have your formers and all the other stuff that has to go in there.
Now,
Jim, you are missing one very crucial detail in your making your molds. You're gonna have to close the molds to join the two halves.
Yes.
For
So,
that, you
I'm
need
not
some way to align them.
Yes.
Okay. So when you make your molds in the two halves, make sure that you have drill some holes, put some pins over there, so when they come back together, they
the two together.
Exactly.
So let me show. I'll be right back. I'll show you what we did.
Hey, Charles.
Yeah, Eddie.
Hey, we was talking earlier about that P40 Brodak.
Yeah.
They got it on sale now. The Arc is $128.
Oh,
Regular price $160.
I have a Brodak P40. I have an ARF that was given to me, and I just been flying that, but I haven't flown the Tudor, so I don't know which one's better. It's been a while. It's been actually
P40.
Been years since I've flown this Tudor too.
The P40 is better than the Tudor too. I've owned both.
Okay.
And I'm flying a P40 ARF at Canton this weekend. That's going to be my profile plane.
Yeah, they're sold. They're out of stock on the ARF, but they have.
You want a kit?
Huh?
You want a kit? I got a
What
kit.
you got?
Brodak P40 ARF kit. I got the kit. It's not an ARC or an ARF, but it's a kit.
Yeah. Well, send me what do you want for it?
I don't know. What do they list for?
The kit is, I think right now they've got the kit for 126.
Well, how about half of that? How about 60?
All right.
You better jump all over that.
Yeah.
Jump all over that.
I was going to say, otherwise,
I'm
just
gonna take it for
AR
60. My boy can use one.
and strip the covering off it.
I've got one downstairs, and for that, I'd take it.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, 126 is what the kit is. They got the ARCs on sale for 128, and I'm like, well, shit, why not get the ARC?
But they're out of
more,
them.
$2 more. They've already built it for you.
But they're out of them?
No, they have the ARC, but they don't have. They're out of the ARF.
Well, if they're out of the ARF, they're gone. There probably won't be anymore.
No,
right. Now it just says the ARC is in stock. It does not say how much they have.
Yeah.
I think they're liquidating right now.
She told me the same thing about the SV11. They have lots of ARFs, but very few ARCs left. And I got my other SV on Saturday. It showed up. I got a red one.
All right, Jim. All right, Jim. That's your.
This is half of the wing mold. This cost me dearly because I was an idiot. I paid a guy to put these bins in because this is exactly how, this is what a shark mold comes in. This right here. And this sucker is heavy. It's steel.
Yeah.
And what they do is that there's a lot of alignment marks that are you scribe in. I'm sure you probably won't be able to see them. But what you do is you drill pins in several places in exactly the same place on each half. So that when you go to join these, they're going to those pins just go right through and they align the two molds together.
So you're gonna have a flat bottom wing?
What's that? Yeah, very flat. Flat top, too. But on the next one, there's no point. He told me, the guy that built it told me, he says, well, why don't you just make it square? And I said, well, I don't know why I don't want to make it just square. I don't care how much the thing weighs. And it would cost about a quarter of what this one costs. So when we do the next ones that we do, they're just going to be square. I don't care if it has extra stuff around it. It all gets filled in anyway. So it doesn't matter. But the steel is what's going to keep your mold from warping. You know, some guys will use wood and that kind of stuff. And that works okay, but, you know, it doesn't last as long. Plus with steel, your mold, if you do enough wings, you're eventually going to screw up your mold. It'll get little chips in it or, you know, scratches, abrasions. You can fix them, but it's not going to be like your plug where you've got a mirror finish. And so you can just knock this out, put your plug back in, and make a brand new mold right out of it. And you're good to go again for a bunch of planes.
I was going to ask you, a buddy of mine was making, this is for RC Pattern, but he made a mold and stuff for the fuselage. But his mold had like a step in it. So when he put them together, there was like an inch. One went down and one was straight over. When they met up, it gave him a place to glue the two halves together.
Yeah, it depends how you do it. The way I was showed that the way you do it is that when you get ready to join them, you mix up some of your resin with a little bit of filler, and you just basically take like a syringe and you just run it along the edge of one of them, and then you just let them come together, and then that fills in that gap.
Yes.
And you know, I said, well, you know, it doesn't seem like I really need anything else besides that. So
then you put a piece down the.
You don't need it, Steve.
You're just butt gluing them two halves together.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what keeps them from? I mean, that's the weakest joint there is a butt joint.
It's resin.
Okay, I ain't under.
Believe me, if you can get those two things to come apart, more power to you. I don't think they're going to come apart.
No, they don't. They're
Because I've seen other ones. They take, you know, they butt join them like that, but then they take like a 1-inch strip of fiberglass and wet it and stick it down the seam.
Yeah, I've heard of guys doing that before too.
Well, there is one way to get them apart.
Yeah.
About 50 mile an hour into the ground will take them apart.
Yeah, that's got a shot anyway.
Steve.
Put them in 10 inches garage.
So Steve, in general, in composites, if you want to join two parts that are very thin, right?
Yeah.
It's usually just carbon or fiberglass shell, right?
Yeah.
Then you probably on those you want to use some kind of a flat strip of something to bridge it across. If you use material that has a core material into it, like a foam or balsa or Nomex or, I mean, pick your poison, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot wider, it's a lot thicker, and on those you don't really need a extra piece of fiberglass. On my plane, I use that only where I have the carbon to carbon meeting on a fuselage, which is under the nose and on the top of the nose on the parting line, on a fuselage, starting with the rudder all the way to the nose. I have like a 10-inch piece on the bottom in the nose too, but that's because I have carbon to carbon and I don't have a lot of thickness over there. So, so it's not a rule. It's not you have to apply it correctly to the correct circumstance, right? So Yeah.
Mike Wonky would like to speak.
Yeah, Charles, I just got a question for you. Where are you getting your 3-bladed carbon fiber props for your road jets?
I don't have a road jets.
What are you running on your stalkers?
Lately, I've been flying two-blade props. Lately, I do have some 3 blades. I think they came from Walter Hicks, and I think Walter Hicks got them from me from the guy in Australia, or
Brian Ether.
I think so.
Okay, I just put in an order with Brian this morning for 10 carbon fiber props for the 61, the 65, and the 75. Because I don't have any luck finding them here. Randy doesn't have any, and when he does get them made, they disappear. You know, they're gone.
You need to get a hold of
Steve Wilk.
No, you can get a hold of Jet or what is the guy?
Jet, Rich Oliver.
Yeah, Rich Oliver. I mean, when I was in France, I had a trunk full of carbon fiber props and pipes and headers and everything you could think of. The ones that he brought over there for the guys over in Europe. And since I had room in my car, that Nissan had like a second trunk. That thing was just filled with stuff, and then he just, he filled orders. It was all gone in a day or day and a half. But yeah, if you get a hold of Rich Oliver, he has everything. He has headers, he has pipes, he's got props.
I'll check his site out. Well, I might do it when we're done talking here. But I wasn't having any luck, and somebody recommended Brian Ether, so I emailed him last night.
He makes great props too.
He emailed me back today, and I went ahead and pulled the trigger.
It may be where Rich Oliver's getting them from, but more than likely he might have them in stock, and they're right here in the United States.
Oh Jesus, we're firing missiles now.
Brian's got to make the ones that I ordered from him.
I mean, it's weapons of mass destruction.
What, Peter?
Weapons of mass destruction.
That's for his competition. When he flies with his brother, and his brother pisses him off, he sends that after his airplane.
Mike, you need some props for this weekend?
I think I'm good. I've got a 2-blade and a 3-blade that I'm going to go fly tomorrow and see if they're going to be okay. And then Derek said he was going to bring a couple for me.
You guys going to FCM?
No, we're going to Canton, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Canton.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Canton, Ohio.
No, it's Canton, Georgia.
Canton, Georgia.
Yeah, I have some. I think I still have some gear props that were made for those motors.
With what props? Zors?
No, my props, my gear props.
Oh, your props. Okay. What sizes do you have?
I think they go up to 13 and change diameter.
Okay. Were you running?
I have to look through them and see what I have there.
Okay. Do you have any PA equipment left, or did you get rid of all of it?
I have a Rojet 65.
Oh, you have a Rojet 65. Okay.
Yeah, and I have a Randy Smith motor. The Randy Smith with I think it has an Aeromodelling resonator for it, a 46. It's a Thunder Power 46.
Thunder Tiger.
ABC.
Thunder Tiger train.
Thunder Tiger, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking mainly for 61 props is what I'm going to be.
Yeah, I have some of those, yeah. So
you have 61. Well, if you want to bring them, I'll take a look at them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you can use them and they work for you for the competition, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Mesnick doesn't make any small ones anymore.
No.
No.
What's the smallest thing he makes? Because, Lord, the last time I looked on his website, it looked like he's making lawnmower blades.
Yeah, I think 16 inches is the smallest one he makes now.
Yeah.
Good grief.
And I looked up the Polish company, the Pole Prop, that's been advertised on Facebook. he's got some nice 3-bladed carbon fiber props for the stalkers, but he only makes them in they're 12.5, 12.6, 13.5, 13.6. They're too high pitched for a PA.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you wanna like both the 4-inch pitch somewhere over there.
3.8 to 4.2 is what everybody's running.
Yeah, I think mine are either 4 or 3.75.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, my stalkers 7-inch props, 7-pitch props. My stalkers.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Stalker will handle it, but you don't want to try to keep up with a PA with that much pitch.
Yeah.
No.
You'll feel like you're flying a combat ship showing up.
Well, the thing is, I bought a lot of used carbon fiber props from different guys, and only a couple of them turned out to be really what they were advertised to be. They were originally, Bali 12.5s and 13.25s, but they'd been cut down, and that's no good. I can cut them down further and probably put them on a PA 40 or something like that, but I can't run them on a 61 because they've been hacked up.
Derek and them guys, they can probably repitch, Mike. If you found like a 5, they could pitch it down. I seen
I've been on the horn with
Donald doing that for somebody. He was repitching.
I've been on the horn with Derek here quite a bit this week, so.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to repitch the carbon. You basically get a little boiling water, and you just start dipping the prop in, and then you give it a little twist, and then you put it on your gauge, and you just keep doing that. It's kind of a laborious process. Now, Wayne, we're coming to Canton too, and we had PA 61s. Now I don't know how many of them Wayne's got left, but we bought a shitload. We got Mejliks, Balis, all different kinds, and we don't use them anymore. We only use the Igor props.
Oh,
now.
me.
There you go, Mike. Tell them
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I might
need some.
Me.
Well, I don't know how
Mike
many
and I
he
need
wants
some.
to sell anymore because we give them away. A lot of times we give them away to the guys at the field. But hey, I was going to tell you guys something too. If you ever get tired, how Tran was talking about spraying with an airbrush?
Yeah.
That's the only way you should ever spray your airplane. Because you can save so much weight with an airbrush. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
if you ever get tired, sometimes I get tired of having to, worry about weight so much. So if you just want to build one to show off your finishing skills, get into rockets. It doesn't matter how much.
Lord.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Oh, that is pretty.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this thing weighs a ton. It doesn't go all that high, but it never did. It's got a big G motor in it. I've got some LED lights rigged up on the bottom so that as it goes up, you see the LEDs.
Yeah, nice.
When it blows the top off, there's LEDs up in there, so you can see the two things as they come down. There's little, what are they? They're some oddball sized battery I have to use with them to get them to come on. But this thing here, you just lay it on, man. Just lay on the paint, lay on the clear, and then just start buffing and polishing. And I mean, it's fun to see what a beautiful finish you can put on something. Because this thing, if you look at it, man, it is just like glass.
It looks beautiful, Jim.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Looks really good.
He has become one with a spray gun.
Do you guys remember way back in the 70s when I think it was Estes that had the Saturn V?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
With a puny ass little D motor in it.
3 of them.
Right.
3 of them.
They had the one that was like, I don't know, 6 foot tall or whatever. It was
Yeah. My dad built one of those, and but the biggest motor Estes made was a D motor. It's only about that big. It's about an inch wide.
Yeah.
Well, I go to these we got a rocket club not too far from us. These guys are stupid, man. They drive out there in these big 4-wheel drive trucks, and they're hauling these real long trailers. And the first time I went out there, I said, what the hell kind of damn trailer is that? And they drive out on the field, and they have 3 different launch sites. The one that's the furthest away is where all the guys with the trailers went. And they get out and they got a crew of about 4 or 5 guys. And on the back of this trailer is a gantry. And they swing this gantry up like this on the back of the truck. And they get a rocket out that probably is, I swear to God, I've seen some of them out there that are like 15, 16 inches in diameter.
Wow,
And they're huge motors. They have to call, you know, all the FAA and the little airport and all that.
Security watch list there is.
Yeah, it's over there by us, Peter. It's out there in Thununasassa.
Oh yeah, I know. Probably on every Homeland Security watch list there is.
Yes, you will.
Well, when I was a kid, our rocket club spent a year making that Saturn V. And all the kid, I mean, it was a huge club, but you had to stay late and stuff like that. So they built this
beautiful kit.
They built this thing. It looked great. They go out in the back behind the school and they're going to launch it. Well, it was kind of windy, and people are saying it's kind of windy and stuff. So they get it up there. They do their countdown and hit the button, and right then a big gust of air came out, and the damn rocket tipped over.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Shot across the ground, hit the backstop for the baseball field, and the whole thing, when it ended, it went poof, and the parachute went on the other side of the fence. But it jammed everything into that fence. I mean, destroyed that. It never did get to go up. And I mean, everybody was like, oh my God.
That's awful.
Yeah, after all that time.
Good thing it didn't kill anybody.
So we had a hell of a rocket club at school. I mean, it was a big thing there at that time, building all the different rockets and launching them and stuff like that after school.
So what have you got for kill markings on that rocket? Didn't I see kill markings on the side there?
That's what I thought I saw too, Jim.
Looked like a couple of cats and a boat and an airplane.
I think he froze up.
He's froze up.
Oh my goodness!
We had a guy come out to Hobby Park and brought one of those, and it was a chemically fueled one. And they set up this thing. It wasn't that big. It was only about 6 feet tall, but it went up about 150 feet. And I kid you not, it turned the sharpest corner I've ever seen. Any one of us would be proud to have that corner in our square eights. That thing went up and just took off and went up over the hill, and we all thought, what in the heck? And then we heard this loud kaboom. Well, on the other side of the hill, they just put in photocells. It's a photocell farm making electric power. That thing destroyed 2 of those big 6 foot panels, 6 by 8 panels.
Uh-oh.
I sure hope he had insurance. But when I asked him, was he an AMA member, he said no. I said, are you a member of the Rocketry Society? No. Okay.
Welcome to your homeowner.
Yeah, really. I'm gonna tell you what. I don't want no part of that. That's just
all right,
stupid.
guys. I'm gonna have to get out of here. I gotta get up in the morning. Mike, send me a message, man.
Yeah, just get to me on Facebook. We'll get together at some point.
Yeah.
All right. Will do.
I'm gonna get out of here too. Mike, are you coming Friday evening?
Yeah, we're gonna try. Actually, I think we should be able to get there early enough in the afternoon to do some flying because Sam's Friday class schedule. He really just has to check in Friday morning. And then if he gets all his assignments done, which last week he was done by 12 o'clock, he was done at noon. I think we can get in the car and go. So I'm hoping to be there about 5 and get some flying in the evening. And what hotel are you staying at?
I live here.
Oh, you're right there. Yeah, you suck. All right.
Yeah,
Hey, just stay with him, right?
Yeah, what I'm gonna do Friday is that I'm gonna go to work, and after work I'm gonna jump in a car and go straight to the flying field, and start some tuning because I wanna try some props I have here, and I I repitched them, so I want to see if they work okay.
Yeah,
Jim
we're
showed us his kill markings. What do you got there, Jim?
That's that. Yeah.
Oh,
Airplane,
airplane.
a couple airplanes, a car,
A truck, a half track. It looks like.
You got no
Okay.
volume, Jim.
Wait, Jim.
You got no volume. You're muted, Jim.
I think you're muted. Yeah.
Turn on
Unmute your mic.
All right, am I good
There we
now?
Yeah.
All right. We even got us a couple of snookers on here.
Oh wow, very good.
Oh Lord.
Now that's kind of odd considering we have German markings, so something must have went wrong.
Was that an SR-71 on the other side there?
Nah. No
Oh,
SR.
okay.
No
I like the half track.
SR-71.
That's a ship, John. That's a ship, John.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, from
It
away,
looks
it looked
like
like an SR-71, you know?
What it is, Jim, is that you put the German markings on there to confuse them. They wouldn't be afraid when they seen it coming.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, maybe so.
Getting killed by friendly fire.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna try. Let me try something here. If well, I'll come back in just a second.
You got a video of it going off?
No. Well, yeah, I got one at the NAS one year. I'm going to take my camera off and I'm going to switch over to this balsa site so I don't forget. All right.
All right.
Where did Peter go? I was going to ask him how the Saginaut's coming along.
I don't know. He actually
Did you guys see that at all?
Yeah. Punch
Hang on,
that up so it don't keep kicking off. I want to write it down.
Well, I'll give it to you. It's specializedbalsa.com.
And is this a super secret balsa supplier now or something?
These guys, you need to check this website out because I will tell you they will get you whatever you want. And they are not cheap. They call it specialized for one reason, because they specialize in removing your money from your wallet.
Another one of those.
But do they have good wood?
Oh, the wood's excellent, really good, and you can get it 48-inch lengths. You can get it 4 to 6 pounds. They have all the different densities and grains and all that. You get to order whatever you would like.
Well, I'd pay for it if the darn stuff come in right. But I just got some. I swanted we could make Louisville sluggers out of this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you need to have good balsa. I've been up since 4:30 this morning, so I got one more thing I'll show you.
All righty.
Remember how we were talking about magnets last week?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a little demonstration on my new tracer. This is my unlucky tracer.
Oh.
You see that chair in the background there? That belongs to my 86-year-old brother-in-law. Well, I had my tracer sitting out on the cabinet here, and he came over to put his jacket on to leave, and he lost his balance, and he put his foot right through my wing.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Just the other night, I was out there working in the shop. I got to get a bunch of stuff ready to go, and I got a generator coming Wednesday. I got to make space for it. So I was moving stuff around, and my elevator, or my flap, one of my flaps, I didn't realize it had fallen on the floor. And everything I have out there goes around on casters. Well, when I went to put things back up, I ran right over my flap with the caster.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So that's another little repair job.
Your caster tool thing got a shark fin on top of it?
What's that?
You got a shark fin on top of that, like Shireen Fancher's Lincoln?
Oh,
Yes.
Lord.
Oh,
I remember that story.
Have you seen that video, Phil? Have you seen the video?
No, I hadn't seen the video.
It's on YouTube. It's like For the Love of Shireen.
Yeah. It's funny.
3 videos. Yeah, it's hilarious.
I'm telling you
Uncle
what,
Jimmy.
that woman,
Ooh, what is
that
this?
one was pretty cool. Hey, look at this.
This is our latest version of the tracer. No flaps for obvious reasons. This is what the fuselage looks like. we've carried this little cow line along with us ever since I've been going back to the Nats. And what you see in here, this is pretty interesting. I don't know, let's see if I can show you. This is something I saw in a European plane that I really liked. In an electric airplane, you like to be able to slide your battery forwards and backwards.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you see those two carbon tubes down there?
Yeah,
Well, they're actually fiberglass. And right here, this little piece right here, it has a screw on each end. And so I can actually undo those screws, and that piece will lift up and come right out of the airplane. All right. And then just like so. All right.
Right.
Then in the bottom of the airplane, that's where that little piece of balsa wood you see is where my ESC is going to go.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So then, let's see if I can see well enough to put back in here.
So then I take it them two little things sticking up there that slide. So that's so you can slide your battery forward and back, Jim.
They'll have another little piece glued onto them that sticks up just a little bit higher so that it'll catch the battery real good. Okay, so now they're back in place.
Yeah.
Now, on the bottom, this one is easy. I'm putting in a Igor system. In the Igor system, you have an accelerometer. And sometimes you got to play with the accelerometer, moving it forwards and backwards, and you got to shift it up to get it level. So this one's easy. I just pull this off. You can see it has 4 magnets. Inside, they're a little harder to see, but you can see the magnets.
Right.
Now, these magnets are put in correctly, where you don't do your final gluing until your 2 magnets are sitting on top of each other, stuck together.
Right. Those are rare earth magnets too, Jim?
Those are N5 rare earth magnets from K&J. All right. Now, here's where my issue was. I got 2 nice big holes right here. And right up here, inside there, on my cowl, I'll show you the cowl. I got tired of flipping them over, so I made a top-mounted cowl. It has the NCA or NACA inlet, one here to bring some air in, one in the back to let the air out. And I've got a couple little guides in here that will bring the right amount of air and flow it out these bottom ones down here.
Yeah.
They'll even go all the way back into these 2 holes back here to give me even more. So I have about 3 compared to the cowl, which I don't have on it right yet. I have it formed. I'll show it to you. But the way the cowl works is my nose ring right here. You probably cannot see it, but there's a little hole, and it has a little bitty piece of brass in it.
Okay.
And then on the cowl.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I see it.
See the little pin? That's just a little metal pin. It's going to go into the brass.
Right.
And what I have is 4 magnets.
Okay.
These are 1/8 inch thick by 1/4 inch diameter. I am thinking very possibly of removing these. And this is aircraft ply, and so you always want to put them in aircraft ply so you get a good strong joint. Because these magnets are powerful. They can actually hurt you. So just listen to the sound of this. See if I can get it line. Oops, hang on.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Dang, it's there.
I missed the front.
That is wrong.
You got to get your fingers out of it now.
Well, you got to have a stick. So, see, I missed. I didn't get my pin in first.
Wow.
They are so powerful that they will suck away that far. I'm not going to try to pull it out right now.
Yeah, no, get your stick. You don't want to break it, man.
No, I don't want to break it.
Strong.
And then I'll get my cowl. My cowl, the other thing that I'll tell you guys, it's a nice little secret. I don't want any of my motor wires running into the battery compartment. So you see this little piece of right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a rocket tube. It's pretty lightweight, just cardboard. And so the motor leads come out, they go into the tube, and they come out right in at the bottom underneath the battery where you can plug them right into your ESC. So it's pretty slick how that part works.
I like your wheels, by the way, Jim.
Yeah, these are sweet. Check these bad boys out.
I am.
These are made by Max Products.
Yeah.
They are CNC machined aluminum, 2.5 inch. And I got 2.5 inch because if you get the 2 inch, they're really, really skinny. And you can see these are pretty wide. So that helps you out on the grass. The 2.5 inches helps you on the grass. And yet they're still going to be very nice on pavement. Now what I may do, whenever you have a midline setup, your motor is sitting much lower. And so it means your propeller is sitting much lower, which means you got to have longer landing gear.
Right.
So I may make 2 sets of landing gear. The wheels come off very easy. What we do is we take fairings. We take a piece of 1/8 inch balsa wood, and we cut it out in the shape that we want, and then we cut out for the wire. So we end up with 2 pieces of 1/8 inch. Then we just take a piece of 64th ply and we sandwich on each side. And that actually just epoxies. You rough this up and you just epoxy it right to the wire. So it really dresses it up, but you don't have to worry about it, a bunch of bolts or nuts or anything like that hanging out. It's very clean. That's Mr. Whiskers in the background there.
Yeah.
Mr. Whiskers.
He says it's my bedtime. So let me go get the foul and I'll show you that.
All right, thank you.
And with them wheels too, you can buy new tires. So if they wear out on pavement, you can put new tires on them wheels.
Yeah, these are really nice wheels. I was really impressed. They're a little bit more expensive because they are aluminum and they are CNC machined. But you can see they cut just about everything out of them.
Yeah, they look really nice.
They're lightweight wheels.
You can buy extra bushings and you can buy extra tires. So if the bushings wear, you just replace the bushings in them. Because that's what I got on all Samantha's airplanes of them.
Yeah.
So you get dirt and stuff and the wheel starts getting sloppy. You just pop in a new set of bushings and you're good to go. And she already wore out a set of tires on the pavement. And you just they just peel off and you pop the new ones on.
Where do you get those wheels at?
Max Products.
MAXX.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really nice.
Yeah. And I tell you what, even the thin ones and the bigger ones like that, well, go through the grass. They'll cut right through the grass at our field. Where some of the fat ones really slow the airplane down on, taking off. Them things we use the taller ones that are thin, and it'll run them through the grass, and you get a beautiful takeoff on grass.
Nice, nice.
Hey, Ed Carlisle, you awake over there?
Oh,
Ed Carlisle. I know Gary was asleep. Gary, you awake, Gary?
Gary, he'll be up in 30 minutes. Gary will. You catch the last part of the show. I noticed Ed's shirt. It says Cumberland Flyers. I was wondering where that is because we're in the Cumberland Bowl here in Nashville. So, and the Cumberland Plateau is up there.
Cumberland Control Liners.
Yeah, I just wondered where that is. What Cumberland? Do you remember where he said he was from last week, Charles?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
All right. So you can see down on the bottom. I doubt you can see it inside, but this is actually one of Tom Morris's True 90 horns. I don't know, whether they're worth it or not worth it, or whether they work or whether they don't work. But
I don't
they're
know
pretty
either.
neat because they have a slot that you can adjust your elevator throw with.
Sure.
And so the only thing about them is they're very thin because they're cut out. So you have to use a washer on each side. You got to use a little bigger bolt so that you don't deform the slot. Now, I'm going to change this, but in this particular case, the way that the tail wheel hatch, I have a hole that's just going to be cut in over here. You can see the little hole somewhere. There's the hole. So the hole is up here in the, no, right here. See the little hole right there?
Yep.
Okay, that way you can get your 440 right in there. And your actual piece that goes in there, you can see it has a little groove, little lip. And then in the back,
let me guess, a magnet.
All right.
I believe when you go to the scales, I hope it's not a metal scale. You're going to stick to it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I forgot about our last ones. And so I screwed this one up. So I've already taken it out. But there's a piece of plywood that runs across the back. And I had one of these magnets in it. Magnet to magnet. I couldn't get it off. So I forgot about how we did it. So what we did is we lower the piece of wood just a little bit. And we don't even put a magnet in it. We double up in one little spot. And we take a nice screw. And we drill it out so that we got a screw that goes in there. And you can screw that screw in and out to adjust the amount of magnet,
pressure.
How much magnet pressure you actually want to have so that you can actually just take it off. So it really just comes up, slides in here. There's no magnet, so there's no big secret here about anything at this point. But eventually, it'll slide under. I have a couple of adjustments to make, but that'll be the piece that goes into the back here so that I can just get that out.
Just, hey, if they have another contest in Irons, Michigan, I wouldn't go to it. It'll make your bottoms really hard.
I'll show you another. This is a wheel fairing.
Nice.
Now this is your standard wheel fairing. So you can see we have 4 holes.
Yeah.
This was mounted on with bolts just straight onto the wire. All right.
Right.
So it's going to be the same shape as this, except it's going to be thicker by about 1/32 of an inch. Well, a little bit more. You need 1/8 inch balsa you have to, be at least as wide as your wire in the center section, and then 64th. But when they go on, this is an old one, so I don't know how exactly it lines up. Probably it'll be short for sure, but it'll look something like that.
That looks nice.
Okay, so it'll be nice.
It'll look good.
It's clean and easy. You just have to make sure you get them lined up real good. And then
we made a set of them for Samantha's plane for France. And we went to mount them on there and stuff. And we cut somehow, when we drew it out, we cut the angle backwards. So it'd been good if we were backing the plane up, but the damn wheel, the angles were wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to be careful, particularly if you fly on grass.
Yeah.
Because that can cause you an issue.
So we flew hers without wheel pants because we didn't have enough time to make up another set and everything. Well, there's your cowl.
This is my cowl, and it's going to actually glue on. I won't ever take this off. All right? The only way I'm getting into this airplane is through this top hatch. Because I can get everything to it. I can pull the motor out. I can do everything. All right? And so this just kind of goes on like this. So you can kind of see how it looks.
Yeah.
That's going to look good.
So it's going to look
It's gonna
good.
look good.
Our friend Dave, he's always wanted one of these, so he was actually building one with us, but he's a little bit more on the rookie building side, so he got in a big rush. So his is already flying, and it's a little heavy. So when we get to the point where we're ready to start putting, because it's all sheeted, the way we're going to finish this is we're going to surgical blue it, get everything out of it, vacuum it, surgical blue it, get every piece of dust out of it we possibly can. And then we're going to put finishing resin everywhere. All right.
Right.
And then as soon as you get this finishing resin squeezed out, then you take paper towels. I would suggest wearing gloves, and you just wipe all that finishing resin off. You're gonna waste some finishing resin. Let me tell you, it's a busy job. And so you can do it in sections, or it just depends how ambitious you are on any given evening. And you just about have to either do the top or the bottom, and then at least let it start setting up, and then before you do the other half, so you can touch it. And a lot of guys, after the first coat is on, they go ahead and they take another coat of finishing resin, and they use that as their filler, and they wipe all it off. And then all you have to do, you can use dope or whatever you like. I'm going to be using butyric dope and Randy's Aero 1 filler. That's a very small amount into the clear. And you can actually get crazy with this. That part you don't have to paint with an airbrush. You can use a nice touch-up gun or something, because you're just going to shoot it all up with the filler primer, because then you're going to sand every bit of that primer off except where there was a little hole. All right? And you just keep doing that until you can hold the plane obliquely. And you can look at it, and you can see that sucker looks flat. There's no bump.
Right.
Now, in a wing like this is a Millennium wing. So it has an 1/8" plywood spar in the center section. Then it's actually a sandwich in the center section. That holds the bell crank and everything. But then the plywood drops off, and it's balsa wood out to the tip. So once you get that filler off of there and you get it flat, but because it has ribs, you're always going to see some kind of starving horse type thing. There'll always be a slight curve. I don't worry about those curves. All right. They're going to be there. There's nothing you're going to do. If you try to fill them in, you're just going to add a ton of weight, and eventually they're going to come back anyhow. So if you have a little curvature between the ribs, don't really worry about it. Then once all your filler's off, you are ready for color paint right then.
Wow.
So it's very fast method to do it.
No tissue at all, right?
What's that?
No tissue at all.
No tissue at all. None whatsoever. If you only use one coat, what you can find happen it takes a while, but you might see some wood grain start creeping through. So 2 coats of the finishing resin is better. But that's enough where you're going to get the monocoque structure over the entire airplane. It's just going to be fiberglass resin everywhere.
Jim, that's a 70s and 80s finishing method you're outlining there.
People have been using it for ages.
Yeah.
Well, in Florida, one of the problems we had, we grew up with, doing dope finishes. But dope, you're not supposed to paint if your humidity isn't less than 60%.
Right.
Guess how many days we have in Florida where the humidity is less than 60%?
You get about 2, right? 2 a year?
3 or 4. You know, that's about it.
Wow.
So we had to find an alternative method.
Okay.
So that is why we've gone to automotive. And I will tell you that our first ships with automotive were heavy as heck.
Right.
And it's just simply because we hadn't gone to an airbrush. So when we get ready to paint this thing with the base color, and everything after that is nothing but an airbrush.
Okay.
Everywhere. Your base coat, you just barely want it on there. Like, let's say you're going to do white. Well, it doesn't even really have to be totally, you don't want it opaque. You want it so thin that you can almost see the wood underneath.
Right.
Because when you put your trim colors on, that base color is going to look real white. You know, so it's all about saving weight when it comes to airplanes. So,
are you going to end up making molds and molding that airplane, or?
We may do that. I mean, we've thought about it. You know, I'm just really kind of getting into the molds now. I want to kind of get the technique down, some of that kind of stuff before I try to do that. Right now, Wayne and I are the only ones that own these airplanes.
Oh, okay.
Except for Dave Hallis. He's a good friend in our club, and he's been after us for years. I really love it. We let him fly our tracers, you know, so he says, you know, that plane just flies awesome, you know, so he's always wanted to build one. So when I designed this one, I told him that if he'd buy the balsa wood, that, you know, he could participate in this new design here.
Is Dave coming to Canton?
Well, he might. He got called into work, and I think it's actually in Valdosta, but I'm not sure he will. I know Bob Whitney's not coming, but Rick Osborne is supposed to come with his wife.
Rick actually messaged me tonight and said he was coming.
Yeah. Hopefully Dave will be able to make it. He's supposed to share a room with me, but if not, whatever.
Hey, are you still using 5-cell?
No, these are six cell motors.
Oh, you did go to 6-cell? Because I know they're at Brodak. You had that one running on a 5-cell.
There's nothing really wrong with 5-cell. Orestes Hernandez, when he's practicing, he'll use his 6 cells and then he'll switch over to the 5. You know, he don't even do anything different. He just puts the 5-cell in.
Well, I know. Well, when we were there at Brodak, it was the capacity over how light the battery was and stuff, and I never even thought about. Because I thought about this next one to go with a 5-cell.
Well, the advantage of a 6-cell battery is that you are increasing the voltage. And what that voltage does for you, it's not really about the power of the motor. There is a difference as you go up in the cells. But from 1 cell to 2 cell, there's a pretty big difference. 2 cells to 3 cells, a little bigger difference. 3 cells to 4 cells, much bigger. And then 4 cells to 5 cells, there's a huge difference. 5 cells to 6 cells, I think you just kind of reached the limit, you know, or you're so close to the limit at 5-cell that going to a 6 doesn't help that much in terms of, you know, raw power. But what it does do is that every ESC operates at a certain number of oscillations. It tells at each oscillation, like with an Igor or a Fioretti, each oscillation that is when that speed controller is reading your RPM. And so that's how quickly it can make the change to your RPM. The cheaper the ESC, the bigger that range is. The 2 best in the world in terms of the fastest oscillation time are a Jetty Spin 66, which you can only buy through Igor, or the Schultz, which will only handle 5-cell.
Midnight.
The Schultz is really nice because it's fast enough as you go up to a 5-cell that it reacts so fast that as you're on your way up, it's adjusting the RPM higher.
Right.
You know, what it's trying to do is just keep the RPM the same everywhere.
Right.
But when you come down, it doesn't have to work as hard because you're coming down. You got gravity and stuff coming down. So these would be 6 cells. The ESC that I'm using is the Igor Jetty Spin. I'm not sure the Fioretti system, which is very similar. It uses an accelerometer in it, like this does, so that you get the boost.
Yeah.
When you need more power, you can put it, and then you have a gain adjustment for how much, like Tran was talking about before.
Yeah, I got both of them.
Yeah. So
hey, Charles has his hand up, guys.
Yeah.
Hey Jim, as far I can tell, you're going to be using a lot of finishing resin. So are you buying Z-epoxy, or do you have a less expensive method, or what?
Well, we have a supplier here that we've been buying Valspar from, but I have used Z-epoxy in the past. And somebody the other night was telling me about Bob Smith finishing resin, which they think is even better than Z-epoxy.
Yeah.
Z-epoxy is a little on the soft side. It's very easy to sand. It's wonderful to work with. The stuff we buy now is harder. And as you go up in price in finishing resins, the harder they get. Like with a West finishing system, that stuff you got to start out, with like 80 grit paper, to even make a dent in this stuff. So, and I guess there's some advantage that it's harder. But I'm not a spring chicken, and sanding is never. I do it, but there's lots of sanding when it comes to building.
Yeah, you got to try that. It wets so much better. I mean, this stuff just wets in so much nicer, and it powders off like polyester almost.
The Bob Smith you're talking about?
Bob Smith, yeah. I mean, it doesn't. Z-epoxy just clogs the crap out of your paper.
Right.
And this stuff, your paper will last so much, it'll finally clog some, but it's so much nicer to work with. It really is.
Yeah, I'm going to order me some and just try it on something.
If you don't like it, I'll buy it from you. I use it all the time.
I use it. I've got Z-epoxy here, and I've got the Valspar stuff here. Certain things I use the Z-epoxy on that aren't so important. Like the Rocket, it's got Z-epoxy on it.
So you have a Valspar dealer there, huh?
Yeah, they're one of the biggest paint manufacturers in the world.
Yeah, that's who bought out Guardsman, who I worked for. They bought the rights to, but I'll send you these, and maybe they can still get some if
I don't know about some of the other ones. I heard Sherwin-Williams has a fairly nice product. But I can tell you, Valspar has more colors than you could shake a stick at. I had one of these tracers. It was, wasn't inline, but it was painted this purple color with like this metal, a little bit of metallic stuff in it. It was just a gorgeous paint.
See, I'm not 100% sure Sherwin-Williams didn't buy out Valspar because my
I don't know.
My pension was from Valspar, and now it's Sherwin-Williams.
They might have.
So they bought something from Valspar because that's where the name, the Sherwin-Williams name is on my pension check. But
I know Valspar. They were one of the 2 largest automotive paint manufacturers in the world. What their corporate presence is right now, these companies buy each other off in and out all the time.
See, Guardsman was appliance paint. At one time we made like 95% of any appliance you had in your house had Guardsman paint on it.
Right.
And when it sold, they bought it for the formulas for appliance. All these like Valspar, Sherwin-Williams, they were big in automotive, but they wanted the appliance and stuff like that, and the wood stuff that we made. But
I can show you.
North Carolina. Guys, I'm gonna bug out, man. It's getting late. I gotta go. I gotta get up.
All right. Hey, Mike, thanks for showing up, Mike. And Mike, thanks for the prompt.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, Jim, talk to Wayne, man, and see if he'll take pity on my soul and help me out with some 61 props, man.
Well, you know.
Hey, don't leave me out of that.
Your son's in with us now. You know, once a pirate, always a pirate.
Yeah, you guys, you kidnapped him 2 years in a row at Brodax, and he's going to end up with all my stuff anyway. So he'll be flying 61s here before too long, I hope.
Yeah, that'll be good.
The props are cheap. It's the shipping, getting them up there, that's going to be expensive.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll see you guys. Maybe we'll,
That's a 10-hour drive. That's in Georgia. It's right next to Florida. It's still a 10-hour drive.
Maybe we'll bring a Chromebook with us and try to check in Friday night from the contest.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I'll bring my iPad.
There you go. There you go. All right, we'll see you guys.
See you, Mike.
All right, take it easy,
First,
Mike.
then we find some Wi-Fi. All right, sounds good, fellas. I'm gonna head out too. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Got one question for Steve.
Jim.
Yeah, thanks for that balsa site, Jim.
Yeah,
I
no
appreciate it.
problem.
I'll get these in the mail to send them to you.
No problem. No rush.
So
You
Peter,
take care, and we'll see you Saturday.
All right.
Pete. Neve.
Yeah. Yes.
How's the Saginaw coming along?
Well, there we go.
Yeah. Let me see the nose.
Good.
Let me see the nose more. Move it back.
All right. Oh, so you did work in a piece to fix that, huh?
Yep.
Looks good, Peter.
Looks good.
I probably have to put a little bit of putty in there or epoxy light to get into these little corners in here. But that's about it.
Yeah, I gotta give.
The other side of the fuselage there. I want to see the other side, the engine side.
Oh yeah.
That's where
Oh
it's
yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Oh yeah. Looking
Look
good. Pretty soon you'll be on the wing.
Oh yeah.
You gonna do the stab and elevator before you do the wing, rudder, and all that?
Probably not. I usually need to stab the elevator for the last, but I did, like I said, I did get this.
All right.
Did you buy two of them?
No, I got the one.
Yeah, see, I got two of them, and then I made a pin to put the two tubes together. Or you can buy the kite.
Arrow shafts?
Yeah, the arrow shafts, and then lengthen that all out, and then you don't have to join the wing. You can build it all in one section. I put splicers in it.
The thing is my building surface is like one of these fold-out picnic table type deals. So I don't have a long enough flat surface. I have long enough flat surface to do one half at a time. So that's where I will keep it for the moment.
Looks
Steve,
like
I got a question.
good.
Whoops.
Steve, are you waiting for Peter to get his done before you start yours?
I got the fuselage. I don't have the cheek cowl on or anything like that, or that other part built, but I'm just waiting to decide what. I think I'm going to put that not Aero Star, that one star, whatever that damn thing was.
Double star?
Yeah.
Double star 40.
Yeah, I'm going to put the 40 on it.
I think Phil has a question, you guys.
Steve's got a question for you. You was talking about the epoxy. You said Bob Smith epoxy.
Yep.
Is that the one that works so well?
Yes.
All right, I'll get some of that then.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
I have the West Systems, and he's right. You need 80 grit and a sander. Man, that stuff gets hard.
Yeah.
And if you try to hit it, you think you're going to mix it a little bit soft. Go ahead and mix it like they say mix it, because you try to mix it a little bit soft, and what you get is the gummiest mess you ever seen.
Yeah.
It took a month for that stuff to dry and get hard, and then it was still hard. You still need 80 grit.
with RC airplanes, we always, put fiberglass in the center sections and stuff. And
Yeah.
that lays out the fiberglass so nice. I mean, with the Z-Epoxy, you have to go back over it and over it to wet it in.
Yeah.
This stuff wets in almost as nice as polyester.
Oh, brother.
You know, I have another, other ways of doing it. If anybody wants to lay down fiberglass on balsa wood, it only works with SIG polyester resin. I've tried everything else, but I don't know who makes their stuff, but if you take that and pour out 7/8 of an ounce, add an eighth of an ounce of acetone, mix it up, double the hardener. That stuff, you can paint it on like dope. It'll wet out that quick. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, and I use that a lot because polyester, then you just, after it's hardened, you take a little acetone, wipe the wax off the polyester, and that stuff sands, super easy then. But a lot of people don't like it because it's hard and it will crack, like in a hard landing or, something.
Yeah.
If you pull landing gear and stuff, you'll actually can see a crack in sometimes, in it. But I did a whole airplane in it, and it's at one of Tom Morris's Cavaliers. And I didn't put any silk rope or anything like that on it. I just did it with a thin coat of that polyester, and then sanded it. And I mean, it looked like glass when it's so smooth because that thin stuff will soak in just enough to where you can sand off. You can sand off all the high spots, and you can make it just as smooth as silk. I mean, there's no wood grain or nothing left. But me and Dennis had a mission. We're talking about that. They're trying to figure out how to use polyester for that. And
well, that's what they used to always use because the epoxies were too soft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I miss the. Anybody remember the hobby epoxy like Formula 2 that was like 3 hours to set up?
Yeah.
I used to love that. That used to be the greatest. I used to love that stuff.
Hey, Gary. Glad to see
those
you
days I
back.
didn't have that much patience.
Good to see you back, Gary.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, and the Cumberland control line guy.
Yeah.
That's what
Ed. Oh, okay.
right?
His name ain't up there. Mike wanted to know where you were from, but you were not. Too.
I was napping, yeah. It was southern New Jersey.
Oh, Jersey.
Oh, okay.
South
Yeah, Mike was asking where you were from.
We're in between the Dell Memorial Bridge and Cape May, about halfway. In that general area. We fly down the street from the Millville Airport. We have a field that we leased from the city.
Cumberland control liners.
So you're close to what, Maryland?
No.
Oh.
Well, yeah. I say no. Dover's about an hour from us. And I've been to Maryland, but it's more. It's closer to an hour and 45 minutes, hour to 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
Depending on where you're going.
Yeah, because Gary Lutz, he's here in Michigan right now, and I know he flies in New Jersey and stuff like that down there.
Yeah, we do. There's a lot of flying goes on up in Middlesex, New Jersey, up that way.
Oh, okay.
They do a lot of racing up there, and they do a lot. We do some with
Garden City.
The Flyers. Yeah, Garden State Circle Burners. We do some with them. The Philly Flyers. They fly in the Chamonix, and then.
That's pretty neat.
They got 2 sites up there they fly.
What I couldn't believe is when that hurricane, that last one that came up the coast here a few weeks ago, that 25% of all the people live in the United States, that coming up the coast there affected 25% of the people in the United States live that close to the ocean.
Yeah.
That just seems impossible. You know, that almost 100 million people live along the coast there.
Yeah.
Think about it. New York City's right there on
Yeah,
the
we,
coast.
we were without electric for a while after the storm. And actually, we lost electric after the storm went through. It was kind of odd. It didn't happen during the storm. We had lost it afterward.
Yeah, New York City has a lot, but they were showing how many people in North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, how many live right by. I'm like, oh my God. So like the rest of the whole state don't have any people in it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's full. It's full.
Yeah, and Carolina's always
down
get
the
hit by
coast. There
hurricanes.
used to be so many, you just miles and miles and miles and miles, and that's wall-to-wall houses. North Carolina coast is just covered up now.
Oh yeah,
the Outer Banks, which washes away about every 10 years.
Yep.
It's about the only place if you want to go see real unencumbered beach. That's where you go. That's where I go fishing.
It always surprised me. I mean, I was born out here in the West, but for a while there, I lived in Wisconsin, and I for a while I sold farm implements and stuff like that. Had direct dealings with a lot of the farmers, you know. And a 120 acre farm was the average farm, and the guys that were really doing well, they'd buy the farmers out around them, so they might be clear up to 400, 460 acres they might have, you know. And I remember I was headed out to visit my folks here in Utah, and I had my ham radio with me. I was talking with some guys about talk to this farmer there in Wyoming.
But I asked, we stopped and asked the guy, how many acres is this farm? He said, well, there's 3 counties and 2 townships within this one farm. It's 26,000 acres.
Yeah.
One farm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I
what was the name of that
big
farm?
in Texas, but that's ridiculous.
Was that Sky Ranch or something like that?
I don't remember the name of it. My wife probably does, but I don't
Wow,
have
that's
memory
huge.
for that stuff anymore. But I'm telling you, it was huge. And it just, I mean, they had 2 stretched long Rangers, the big helicopters. And just, the guys are out there with just farm implement. I mean, just they're cutting the wheat and running it up. It runs up a thing behind the tractor into a tractor trailer next to them, and then they go take those back to the field. And it's 6 hour drive back to the farm. I'm sitting there, what in the world, man?
When I lived in Alaska,
in high school, how much land does a man need? And that really brought that story back to my mind.
When I lived in Alaska, Phil, we used to have jokes between Alaskans and Texans all the time. Because the Texans, you know, really resented the fact that they're now the 2nd largest state.
Yeah.
And so one of the jokes that I remember the most is one Alaskan was bragging to some Texan about, you know, he says, you guys are not only the 2nd largest state, but compared to us, you're just dang puny. He said, you know, he says, we could put 3 states of Texas inside our borders. And the guy says, well, I'll tell you what, you put a fence around it and I'll buy it.
Very funny.
I tell you what, if you ever travel to Albuquerque,
I've been there.
Well, my wife and I went to the balloon festival. My brother used to live out there, and we went to the balloon festival. We made the mistake of renting a car that was from Texas. Don't ever do that in New Mexico. Never, never, never. Don't let them rent you a car that says Texas on it. The people from Albuquerque think that the people from Texas think that they are the Texas recreational facility. Is what Albuquerque is, what New Mexico is. Anyway, long story short, we're trying to get to the balloon festival one morning, and everybody just felt like everybody was trying to block us in. It was really getting on our nerves. And I finally rolled down the window and asked the guy, could you move over and let us get in? We're trying to get to the balloon festival. He says, you damn Texan, go back where you came from. I said, Texan, how stupid are you? You really think I sound like I'm from Texas? I'm from North Carolina. It's a rental car. The guy, so help me, put his car in park, stuck his head out the car. I thought I was going to have to fight the guy. He said, hey guys, he's from North Carolina. It's a rental. It was like the parting of the Red Sea. Oh, you just go right through there.
Wow.
Ay, ay, ay. I said, no, my brother works here in Albuquerque at Sandia National Labs. He stuck his head out. Hey, they're from North Carolina. A rental car. I couldn't believe it. I said, man, I'm telling you, it was a mess. But anyway, don't ever take a Texas car into Albuquerque. Big mistake.
When I was young, I got stuck in Corpus Christi and couldn't get a flight out.
Oh, God.
And so I took the bus home. And someplace there by Dallas, coming up through that way, a kid gets on and he sits by me and we're talking. And it's the first time he's ever been off his ranch. And I'm like, the first time you ever been off your ranch? He goes, yeah. He goes, my closest neighbor is 20 miles away.
Yeah.
And he was trying to tell me how many thousands of acres his family owned. That they had a tutor that come in and taught him and stuff like that. And he just couldn't believe the amount of people or the size of buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we got into Chicago and we were sitting there and these Amish people come walking by. And I see him looking at him and he's looking at him and looking at him. And he went over there and he started talking to him and he came back and sat down and he said, you know, he said, them people said they're Amish. And I said, yeah, they are. He goes, I never seen nothing like that. He goes, I asked them, are you pilgrims? And they said, no, we're Amish.
Well,
pilgrims. I laughed at him hard.
I've got going back to a rental car story. You said don't rent a car in Texas.
With a Texas plate on it in New Mexico.
Yeah, and going to where?
New Mexico.
We're in New Mexico.
Okay, I have a story about a rental car. It's not in the United States, but it's an interesting story because at one point I was a man without a country. So I was doing work in Malaysia, right? I was up in Kuala Lumpur doing telecom work in Malaysia. And I looked down at one point, I was there for a couple of months, and I looked down and I was saying, oh, geez, my visa expires today. It was a Sunday.
Uh-oh.
That means I have to leave Malaysia, the country. I have to get out of the country or I would overstay my visa, and then that can lead to all sorts of grief. Mm-hmm. So I jump in the rental car. I had a rental car. And I started, okay, if I have to get out of the country, the closest country to Malaysia, the Malaysian peninsula, is Singapore. It's all the way down south. If you look at the map, you follow the Malaysian peninsula. It's almost like Florida peninsula. You go south, and then you go over a causeway, and there's Singapore. It's a completely different country, so I have to leave. So I jump in the car, and I start driving south. So I get south. I get to the border crossing into Singapore, and I clear through Malaysian customs. They said, okay, fine, you're going into Singapore, you've left the country before your visa expired. And I get it's like, I guess it would be the same thing as the border between Canada and the USA. You clear USA customs, then you have to hit Canada customs. Well, in this case, it was Singapore customs. So I drive up to the window, which is only about, 50 yards between Malaysia customs and Singapore customs. So I pull up to the Singapore window. I hand them my passport and everything else. And I'm waiting to get cleared into the country. And they say, hold on, wait one moment. The guy gets out of the car, gets out of his booth, walks to the front of the car, starts looking at the stickers on the car. And they said, you can't come in here with this car. I said, why not? I should have my insurance. Everything else should be good. Yes, it's insurance, but it's good for Malaysia. It's not good for Singapore.
Mm.
So it's like, well, what do I do? It's like, okay, well, you can come in. My physical, my person can come into Singapore, but I can't. The car can't come into Singapore. And I said, well, can I just park it over there, into that lot over there, and I can call a cab and get a hotel in Singapore? No, you can't leave the car unattended. So ultimately, what I ended up having to do is I spent 2 days, because I had to be, when you want to renew your visa back into another country in that point for Malaysia, you had to have left the country for 48 hours. So I could not get back into Malaysia for 48 hours, and they wouldn't let me into Singapore with the car. So I ended up on the causeway between Singapore and Malaysia, sleeping in the car for 2 days.
Whoa.
Before I was able to just turn around. I never even got into Singapore. I just turned around after 2 days and scooted back up into Malaysia to go back to work.
Good gracious.
And at the time, my wife was trying to reach me, and I disappeared for an entire 4 days, and she couldn't get a hold of me. She thought I died.
Yeah, I bet.
Better you're shacked up with an Asian woman.
Yeah, I heard the Malaysian women are really pretty. Is that right, Peter?
Oh, jeez.
The answer is yes.
Okay. That's right.
So that was my rental car story.
The only
Hey,
one
guys,
I have.
I want to close out the show. We can still continue
If
on.
you ever go to England or one of those places and you think about renting a car, don't. They drive on the wrong side of the road. You sit on the wrong side of the car, and it's just no. Take a cab. It's the only way to get there.
That was the same thing in Malaysia. You don't know how many times. This is going back a few years. I remember going out to a nightclub one night, and it was scary because you don't know what airline pilots do on their nights off.
Oh,
and they get up at 8 o'clock in the morning to go fly a jet. They're in the karaoke bar till 4 o'clock in the morning. And anyway, I remember so many times in Malaysia, because they drive on the wrong side of the road, I would forget, and I'd get in the car, and I'd be driving along. It's like, what are those headlights doing down there?
Well, you guys, we can continue on. I'm going to close the show out. Anyways, looks like we have right now 10 viewers or 10 watchers. There was some communication in the chat, and I'm sorry I forgot about you guys for the first time. Gary, Gerald, remember I said hello to us, and Jack Snavy, and Mr. Bishop.
Hey, Jack.
So, anyways, we had a good show, you guys. Thank you very much. Again, we will be back Friday night, and we look forward to talking to you and seeing you guys then. And so I'm going to close the stream, but you guys can continue on. And thanks for coming in, you guys. I appreciate it very much.
We'll see everybody Friday. I think I'm going to get out of here because I got to get up in the morning and go to the doctor.
Peter.